Good morning to you. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And top of the stories this morning is a closure on 24 westbound between Sam Ridley Parkway. That's exit 66 and exit 64 for Waldron Road. That's all closed off right now. There was a crash last night at 11 o'clock. That's how long this has been closed off. And at the moment, it looks like it's cleared, but they're still doing an investigation. So again, it's 24 westbound between Sam Ridley Parkway and Waldron Road. And other news of the day, mounting pressure on Capitol Hill lawmakers to prevent a potential shutdown for the government.
The government is inching closer to a shutdown after Senate Democrats announced they will not support the House-passed funding bill. Now, certainly no one wants to see the government shut down, but Senate Democrats say they're concerned that the current bill would give the Trump administration too much leeway to continue overhauling the government. Instead, they're now hoping for a short-term solution, but the clock is ticking. The government set to shut down Friday at midnight.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce. Now, here in Tennessee, we have some potentially severe weather that's headed our way for the weekend. Here's Stefano DiPietro.
Now, in the middle of the night Friday, here we go. Here come showers and thunderstorms in parts of West Middle Tennessee. That should happen just before or right around midnight. Then continuing to march to the east by the early stages of the morning. It's right along the I-65 corridor, and then late into the morning, it moves out into the Cumberland Plateau. Then we should get a break from this round of rain before the second batch develops Saturday afternoon and into Saturday evening.
Now, he says widespread thunderstorms, flooding, even tornadoes are all on the table for both events, Friday night and Saturday. You'll want to stay weather alert and keep it here on WTN for all the latest information. Other news, a bill to increase the penalty for fake rideshare drivers is advancing in the General Assembly. Now, this comes amid a growing number of people that pretend to be Lyft, Uber, or cab drivers. Their goal is to get you inside their car, and then they don't let you out until you pay exorbitant fees. Tammy Daly tells Channel 4 she always makes sure the driver is legit.
I'm always just very uber cautious. Like when you open up the door, the driver should say your name. That's how you know it's your car, and making sure that the information matches the app. It's a white car, the license plate, and usually it's right. So.
And cabs say that you should always check to see if the car has a decal, a meter, a top light, and a driver's permit in the window. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Markets ending the day mixed, with the Nasdaq and S&P notching gains thanks to encouraging inflation data and growth in tech stocks. The Dow losing 83 points, the S&P rose 27, and the Nasdaq ended up 212 points. The Consumer Price Index found inflation rose 2.8% in February compared to a year ago. That's better than expected. Nvidia climbed about 6%, trimming its loss for the year to about 14%. Server maker Supermicro Computer and GE Vernova, which is helping to power AI data centers, also rose. But tit-for-tat tariffs are still rattling markets around the world. President Trump's 25% tariffs on all imported steel and aluminum products went into effect overnight. In response, Canada and the European Union slapping retaliatory duties on U.S. goods. Brown-Forman, the company behind Jack Daniels, tumbled 5.4%. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
And stock futures this morning point to a not-so-hot open either. The Dow futures, they're up 6 points. NASDAQ futures are down 34. S&P futures minus 4.5. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, just a heads up. It's 24 westbound, all traffic off at exit 66, and it's closed in that area up to 64. There was a traffic accident overnight. It happened 11 o'clock last night. They're still waiting for them to reopen as the investigation there continues this morning. 24 westbound, Sam Ridley Parkway up to Waldron Road, all closed off. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.507 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? It is Thursday, March 13th. How are you? So there's so many different stories that are out there today, but one of the overarching themes is that the Democrat Party is an absolute mess, and they have been. We've been talking about this for, well, really since President Trump was won the election. But here's the interesting thing. Is that we have a lot of Democrats and media Democrats. You know what I'm talking about? Democrats who are always commenting on the media, in the media. And basically, they're all admitting that their party is an absolute mess. And you look at Donald Trump, and he's going to have some challenges. He's going to have, issues that come up. A lot of people, and I'm going to talk about the economy here at some point this morning. Yeah, we got some really good economic numbers this week, including yesterday. But I'm telling my Republican friends, my conservative friends, don't get really excited about the economic numbers. I am excited about them. But realize that these numbers, they come and they go. They really do. The numbers come and they go. And so I'm not going to sit here today and say, all of our problems are solved, the economy is hunky-dory. Because next month, we might have some challenges. Long term, because, by the way, the economic numbers that we have just seen don't include whatever is going to happen with the tariffs. Bottom line is positive economic numbers come and go. We are looking for long-term gain. This is a long-term play as Donald Trump tries to, basically, part of what he's trying to do is reinvent the American economy. And that's going to obviously reverberate and have an impact all across the world. And that's, at least for me, in my opinion, that is a good thing, my friends. It is. So while the positive economic news of this week is good, next week it might be different. But I'll get into that. But the bottom line is that Donald Trump has had victory after victory after victory, and President Trump really is holding his own. He's had a lot of victories against some very strong headwinds, and the Democrats, they're flailing. Story after story this morning about the party is in a disarray. They're in disarray. There's a lot of contempt for party leadership.
And if they would work half as hard as we do, I would have no complaints.
Do you feel as though Democrats are adequately representing you right now?
I don't. I don't think they're matching my energy. We're watching the Constitution burn. We're watching the country that we love be systematically dismantled, and they're not angry enough about it.
All right, so a lot of talking points there. But the Democrats, here's the deal. And by the way, this is a profile on CNN where they're speaking to a number of different women, and this particular woman is trying to rally her local Democrats, and the leaders, the Democrat leaders, they're just not, according to this woman, working hard enough. And I love this, and part of what this story is, in this profile piece, this woman is wearing a sweatshirt as she's canvassing her neighborhood. You know what the sweatshirt says? Read banned books, which to me epitomizes their issue. So this woman is running around. She's trashing Democrat Party leadership, and they do deserve to be trashed. but she's wearing a sweatshirt that says read banned books. Well, can somebody please tell me what books are Republicans trying to ban? They're not. Republicans are not trying to ban books. What they're trying to do is ensure that age-appropriate books are available for kids in libraries, in school libraries. That's what they're trying to do. It's all about age appropriateness. Nobody is banning books. Literally, she is on her sweatshirt, she is wearing a message that is a lie. And that personifies to me what the problems with the Democrat Party is. You want to order a book on Amazon? You go right on ahead. You want to buy a book for your kids? You go right on ahead. You can go do it. Again, Republicans are not banning books. That is a total and complete lie. Republicans, again, have concerns, appropriately enough, and they should have concerns, about very adult-oriented books being taught in schools. So even this woman complaining about Democrats, the clothes that she is wearing would be emblematic of the Democrats' problem. They're way off message, they're way off priorities, and they couldn't find the truth if it hit them in the head.
But now, she's among the nearly 3/4 of Democrats across the country who want to see Democrats in Congress do more to oppose the Trump agenda. In nearby Clarion County, Callie McLaughlin is equally frustrated.
We're the ones that put them in office, right? We're kind of responsible for them. That's who we should be going after.
So, a couple of things. Number one, as you talk to Democrats on the streets, and when you talk to Democrats who are speaking about the party, Doug Schoen is one who's a longtime Democrat operative. You've got Stephen A. Smith out there as well. You know, the media Democrats, even James Carville. You've got the Democrats making these lame fighting videos, right? And that's not doing the trick. That's not working for the Democrat Party, the ones that are, again, the rank and file that are out there knocking on doors trying to canvass. It's not. But here's the thing. Trump's policies so far have been very popular, and so is Donald Trump. Polling out there this week shows that the president is doing really well. Rasmussen shows that 51% of likely U.S. voters still approve of Donald Trump's job performance. 47% disapprove. Again, job ratings and approval ratings, those are going to come and go as well. So I don't get too excited over, and I never have gotten excited over polling, but we also have the CBS poll where Trump has high approval ratings for his first month. 70% say Donald Trump is keeping his promises. 53% have proof of Donald Trump's performances. Again, this is CBS. 51% say Elon Musk and Doge's performance have been good. They like the influence to reform big Fed's corrupt spending and inefficient operations. In other words, people like what Doge and Elon Musk is doing. Now, these, Democrats who are running around Washington, D.C., singing really lame, 60s kind of kumbaya songs, they don't get it. But, of course, they're not going to get it because they are so wrapped around the axle with their Trump derangement syndrome that they can't really see that the American people are siding with Donald Trump. They said 2 words to describe Donald Trump. Well, 69% describe Donald Trump with the word tough. Number 2, 63% say that Donald Trump is energetic. Number 3, 60% say the president is focused. And 58% say President Trump is effective. 59% approve of Donald Trump's deportation plans. I could go on, but I think you get my point. My point is, no matter where you turn, Donald Trump ultimately is looking really good. And the Democrats just continue to flail. I've got more on this. It is 5:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Well, they're still there this morning in Smyrna. It's 24. The westbound lanes shut down Sam Ridley Parkway to Waldron Road because of a crash that happened overnight. It's pretty slow this morning approaching that spot as volume picks up on the roadways. It's going to pick up a long line of traffic behind this. Stop and go from the Rocky Fork Road overpass up to that area this morning. Now, it looks like they're about ready to start clearing it away and letting traffic go through again. We'll keep an eye on it as we continue through the morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thanks a lot, John.
For?
You said Rocky Road?
Yeah. Oh,
that's my favorite ice cream.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm going to be jonesing Rocky Road ice cream all
I take
morning
offense
long.
to people using Jones in that manner.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Why is that?
People are always jonesing to do something.
Yeah.
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 You making this a hostile work environment, Dan?
Yeah, Dan.
It's only 5:17. Already you
Starting
two are
early.
being hostile by accusing me of being hostile. Moving right along, 5:17 on Nashville's Morning News. So, yeah, the Democrats are flailing about doing really stupid stuff, right? Complaining about their own party, including, of course, John Fetterman, Senate Democrat out of Pennsylvania. So now one of the things that they're doing is they're protesting John Fetterman because he had the audacity to go to the White House and talk to Donald Trump.
That's where we met Michelle Flamer, a retired attorney for the city.
I have to do something. In my view, our nation's on fire, and we are actually in a constitutional crisis now.
She is in disbelief with how Democrats have, in her eyes, thrown in the towel.
Can somebody tell me, I keep hearing them scream about this constitutional crisis. Where? What constitutional crisis are we talking about? Donald Trump has signed a whole bunch of executive. Let me just explain to you how this is not, and we are not in a constitutional crisis. Donald Trump has signed a bunch of executive orders, and they're making their way through the legal system and up to the Supreme Court. Some have worked out well for Donald Trump. Others have not worked out so well for Donald Trump. And so it's going through the legal process. But the point of this whole piece on CNN is that the rank and file Democrats in Pennsylvania and across the country are not happy. And they want these Democrats in the House. They want these Democrats in the Senate. They want them to fight. But remember the dynamics in Washington, D.C. Republicans do control the House, very thin majority, but Republicans control the House. The Senate, of course, the Republicans control as well with a healthier majority. And obviously we have the White House as well. So the Democrats, really the only thing they can do is make really lame videos, make really lame, sing really lame songs, and be the party of no for the most part. And that's what they're doing. Unless it is a Democrat in a Trump-aligned district. That would be the cases where we might actually get a Democrat working with the Trump administration. But the bottom line is for the Democrats, their whole thing is they're just simply voting no. They're voting no on everything. And as I've often said, being a Trump-hating Democrat is got to be the easiest job in Washington, D.C. right now because that's all they're doing. Is they're voting no on everything that Donald Trump is trying to do. So for me, I love what Stephen A. Smith has to say and others, and we'll get to some of that audio straight ahead. Bottom line on all of this is that the Democrats have until the midterm elections to figure all of this out. But today, on this Thursday, March 13th, big part of the news cycle is the Democrats are flailing and they don't have anywhere really to turn, and they have no one to blame but themselves. It is 5:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 5:30. Hey, Joan.
Hey, Dan. Well, we have details on our rocky weekend ahead. Weather-wise, could be pretty severe around here. You'll want to hear these details. Also, TDOT closed some lanes on 24 westbound overnight, and it looks like things have just cleared up there. It's 24 westbound at Waldron Road, exit 64, where that accident was. We've got details on it coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
.525, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. You know, I'm not one to, predict the death of political parties like other people are saying with the Democrat Party. But there are some people, even within the party, that are saying that they don't really see any kind of future for the Democrats. And I just spent a few minutes just before the last commercial break talking about how even CNN, even the rank and file of the Democrat Party across the country, they are not happy for a lot of different reasons. I mean, a couple of the biggest, Donald Trump is doing well in the polling. Polling is going to come and go. But one thing that has been incredibly consistent is since the election, and the election, of course, we all know what happened there, the Democrats really have been having a really, really, really hard time. They've even come out and said, Tim Walz, I played you the audio the other day. Tim Walz even said that they don't have any real leader. Now in the headlines also this morning, they have more problems. New Hampshire Democrat Senator Jeanne Shaheen will not be running for re-election. Now, this is a big problem. The reason why this is a big problem is because in New Hampshire, they have this habit of voting for both parties. And so it is very possible that with Shaheen deciding not to run for re-election, she says it's just time. That this could be very competitive for Republicans. They say former Vice President Kamala Harris won the state by less than 3 percentage points in 2024, less than half the margin that former President Joe Biden captured in 2020. The state regularly elects lawmakers of both major political parties. The current governor is a Republican, while both senators are Democrats. So I think this is very good news. In a mid-February poll by Blueprint, a firm affiliated with Democrats, 65% of voters agreed with this statement. No one has any idea what the Democrat Party stands for anymore, other than opposing Donald Trump. And you wonder why Jeanne Shaheen has decided that she will not run for re-election. I think because she and many other people understand that the Democrat Party, they've definitely seen better times. Because a big part of this is their TDS. And again, their Trump derangement syndrome is making them look bad. And some of their supporters are calling them out. Stephen A. Smith is one.
I thought that the behavior of some of, not all, but some of the Democrats during Trump's speech to both houses last week was disgraceful. I was just talking about Representative Green getting put out and then censored. I was talking about them not standing for Lincoln Riley. I was talking about them not standing for the young boy that was a cancer patient. I mean, my God, it's just absolutely pathetic.
Right, it is absolutely pathetic, and I agree with Stephen A. Smith and a lot of Democrats too. Right now, this is also in the news today, it looks like the Democrats might be shutting down the government. I know a lot of you are like, good. I get it. But this is politics, rough and tumble politics. And for the Republicans who passed the continuing resolution in the House of Representatives, now it goes to the Senate. Republicans in the House passed it, this continuing resolution. Going to go to the Senate. Chuck Schumer now says they will not be providing any votes for the bill. And that is, frankly, bad news for the Democrats because they needed at least 8 Democrats to vote for this thing because otherwise it's not going to pass the filibuster. The Democrats will be responsible for shutting down the government. That is a very big deal for the Republicans because it does give them a huge talking point going into the midterm elections. It's 5:30 on WTN.
Good morning. It's now 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. They're still working a crash scene this morning on 24 westbound. It's at the Rocky Fork overpass. You've got 2 lanes blocked off in that area this morning. At least now they're letting traffic go through. It had been closed off earlier this morning. So things are really slow from Almaville, exit 70, up to the Rocky Fork Road overpass this morning. 2 right lanes remain blocked off. Got to keep our eyes on the weather for this weekend. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro telling us that things are going to get a little rocky around here starting tomorrow night.
2 rounds of rain and thunderstorms at Track 4, as we mentioned. Those are the main threats that we are tracking, and we're getting a better picture now, once again, of what these severe threats are looking like. Along and west of I-65, a 3 out of 4 on that scale Friday night and into early on Saturday.
That's a 3 out of 4, he said. Pretty serious stuff there. He says you can expect thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes, and there is a chance that parts of the area get more than 3 inches of rainfall at one time, and that could cause some pretty serious flooding. So get yourself prepared now. Keep it here on 99.7 WTN for all the latest information. A reminder that TDOT will shut down 3 lanes on I-24 tonight. They'll be making repairs on overhead signs. This will begin at 8 o'clock tonight, I-24 westbound. It'll be closed between Haywood Lane and Bell Road, and that'll exist until 5 a.m. Friday morning. So there's going to be 1 lane available. You can bet it's going to be jammed. TDOT is urging everyone to plan for delays or to find alternate routes. Maybe this morning was just a run-through before that. Spirit Airlines is adding 6 new nonstop flights at Nashville International Airport. Those cities are Cleveland, Chicago, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Myrtle Beach, and San Antonio. Spirit says it's also going to resume service to Baltimore, Washington, Charlotte, and Tampa. And at BNA last night, a flight had to be returned to the gate because of a disorderly passenger. A woman from California, apparently drunk, not able to take care of herself. That was the words of the officers. She also picked a fight with those responding officers. She was taken off the plane and arrested. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still super slow on 24 this morning. The crash is now off to the right shoulder on 24 westbound at the Rocky Fork Road overpass, but jammed up traffic because it's been closed overnight. It was closed for a long time from 11 o'clock last night until just about 20 minutes ago. So the crash on the right shoulder, 24 westbound, Rocky Fork Road overpass, and it's still stop and go from exit 70 up to that point. Careful as you go this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, I need you to focus.
Focus on...
KGB, I need you guys to focus. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I've been a little distracted this morning.
By...
I spent my entire morning listening to Michelle Obama's podcast.
Why'd you do that to yourself?
Waiting to her announce her divorce? What?
I'm kidding.
I hope.
I
hope you're kidding.
I don't believe you. I think you're serious.
No,
so
I did post some audio bites.
Was it the first episode?
She's got 2 episodes.
Okay.
And this thing has been an abysmal failure. So one of the things, and this is kind of funny, one of the things that's going on is that in the comments section of the podcast that she's doing with her brother, Craig Robinson, people are blowing up the comment section by saying that Michelle Obama is a man. Whatever.
That's a little mean.
So.
Hey, Joan Rivers said she was a man.
Okay, are you defending her because your name is Joan also?
I want to know, has there been, have people, does she have an Adam's apple? I understand.
Oh.
No. I'm not playing into this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's silly. People will say, well, there's never been any picture of her pregnant. I think there was one. I don't care. Whatever. But I don't think she's a man. Do you think she's just do people really do believe that she's a man?
Have you seen that picture? Have you seen that picture of her and Obama kayaking?
No.
They're in a canoe or something like that. I forget what it was. But she's very muscular and she has very mannish features in that picture. But again, she's in the ocean.
Well, number one, anything can be photoshopped.
Yes, and that's the problem.
This is also true. But Obama also looked very compared to him, she looked masculine compared to him. In the picture, again, it could have been Photoshop, but if you look up them canoeing or kayaking, I forget which one it was.
She works out though.
I mean, yeah, it's
she
just
always had
silly.
those great arms.
I'm just saying that's when it started.
I used to work with Dr. Laura many years ago. Dr.
My mom
Laura
loved
Schlesinger.
that show,
and she had biceps like you wouldn't believe.
Dr. Laura?
Oh my goodness gracious!
Really?
She worked out big time.
Do you want to know how many times I've heard that show growing up?
Yeah, what she used to do is a very, very funny moment off the air, because I used to produce the show, was she would do a bicep challenge with me where she would say, come here, Dan, let's see. And I'm in my 30s, right? Come here, Dan, let me see your bicep and let's compare. And I, of course, have, my bicep
she
is
won.
going, yeah, she absolutely kicked my butt. But the point is that you can be a female and be muscular. Look at Riley Gaines. I mean, she looks really badass. So the point I'm making, should we make that the new, what is our Daily Dan poll right now?
It is, are you for or against the Republicans trying to pass a resolution?
Okay, for the continuing resolution. Because there's some people that want to see the government shut down, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
What is the current poll? What are the numbers?
88% are for to 12% against.
All right, Joan, should we change this?
What are we doing?
Should we change it to, do you believe that Michelle Obama is a man?
Yeah, I absolutely think we should change it to that.
Okay.
It's much more fun.
But here's the thing, though. Like, go ahead and change it, KGB. So go ahead and do whatever it is you do on YouTube. Like us on YouTube. I'm not.
What is my job?
I'm not advocating for people saying that Michelle Obama is a man. Whatever. I don't believe that she is. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of reasons to dislike the Obamas, and these are provable things. So that's the only thing that I'm saying. I'd be willing to bet, though, that the majority of people. I'm not even gonna. I just want to know what people think. So, and here's the other thing that I want to do, KGB. Number one, yes. Number two, no. Maybe do we do a C, which is doesn't matter. There's other things to hate about the Obamas.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that will get more votes.
Because that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know. I am not volunteering to confirm this with Michelle Obama.
Jeez.
Okay, so I want that as a C. Okay, so can you go ahead and put that up?
Okay, I put it up, and I'll put it down and put it back up again.
Yeah, because that's what I want to know.
Honestly, my bigger question is, are the Obamas divorced? Because remember, at the Clippers game in basketball the other day, Obama was alone.
Yeah.
Again, he's been alone a lot.
Can I just tell you, though, that to me, that doesn't prove that they're divorced. I love to go to places by myself. Like I do. I like to go to ball games by myself. I like to go to the movies by myself.
See, you're the person that makes me so sad. Like when I'm sitting in a restaurant and I see a single man eating by himself. I think that's sad.
When I was single, I ate by myself all the time. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Anyway, back to Michelle Obama.
Lunch, yes. Dinner, eh.
So part of the story here is that there have been wild rumors of a possible divorce. So what's interesting about Michelle Obama's podcast is that she has a lot of kind of nasty things to say about old Barack.
You know, he had to adjust to what on time was for me.
Because he was on that island time.
Well, but, you know, I've got this husband who's like, when it's time to leave, it's 3 o'clock, he's getting up and going to the bathroom. And I was like, dude, like 3 o'clock departure means you've done all that, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, don't start looking for your glasses, you know, at the 3 o'clock departure. But he's improved over 30 years of marriage. But that was you must adjust.
So a lot of people are making a big deal out of the fact that she gets a little snippy with her husband. But to be honest, Joan, I don't know about you, but to me, that just sounds like any female who's been married for a long time, sort of taking little, I don't know, fun pot shots at her husband. I'm not making a big deal out of that, except that there was a lot of this picking on Barack.
Every year we'd have the turkey pardoning. And that was the one thing that the girls would do at Barack, was to go stand next to him when he pardoned this turkey. Yes. And it was cute when they were little. But as they got older, you could see on their faces in the shots of them thinking, I would just poke my eyes out. Just right now, just get me out of here. I'm standing with my father.
Boy, it must suck to be privileged. That privilege, living rent-free in the White House.
Oh, yeah.
Your father is president of the United States. You get to go to all the events, all the highfalutin schools, and oh my God, I have to stand next to my father, the president, while he's pardoning turkeys. I mean, no wonder people are saying that this thing is so completely out of touch. You know what I mean?
I gotta say, it doesn't sound like she's like, oh, it's poking fun on my husband. It sounds like she's like complaining, she's a little angry.
She's being belittling. I think that's a great term to use.
Telling these stupid playful jokes, you know, next to a turkey. So by the time we got to the last turkey pardoning, they were done. They were just like, I'm out. I'm not going.
Yeah, so people are like
very
blasting this thing. This is how Michelle Obama describes the podcast. With everything, I feel like I need some like soft piano music. With everything going on in the world, we're all looking for answers and people to turn to, Obama said in a statement. There is no single way to deal with the challenges we may be facing. whether it is family, faith, or our personal relationships. But taking the time to open up and talk about these issues can provide hope. Cut it.
That was perfect music for that.
This thing has so far been a monumental flop. Nobody's watching. Nobody's listening. The headline is Michelle Obama's podcast fails to impress. Nobody cares, says netizens.
Netizens?
I think netizen is people that are on the internet.
Okay.
Netizens.
Yeah.
After
citizens of the internet.
Right. Yeah. Dismal viewership. After receiving even less than 50,000 views on YouTube, it raises questions of credibility for public personalities like Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. Well, you know what this really, to me, it sounds like Meghan Markle and Harry.
Yeah.
And their silly little podcast. Like the American people don't want to hear from you. You are considered royalty. I mean, in the case of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, they were. But in the case of Michelle Obama, she is as close to royalty as we get in this country. And there is definitely an anti-royalty sentiment going on in America today.
Yeah.
We completely voted against that in the last election because the royalty, I'm going to air quote that, in our country told us that Joe Biden was doing a great job. People like George Clooney. You know, he said, for how long did Hollywood's left say, oh, Joe Biden, he's fine, until he was forced to pen that thing that said, we need a new candidate, George Clooney.
At least he did, though. He did more than our media did.
He did.
He did far more than the media did.
He forced it.
I'm looking at you, all you reporters that flew on airplanes with the man, knowing that he was debilitated beyond measure.
They say that the netizens have found this podcast a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Both the episodes are nearly an hour long, and considering the exponentially low attention span of internet consumers today, this podcast seems to be failing to capture the audience.
So do you think this was an effort for her to sort of cast her fishing line into the candidate zone to see if people will listen and
or the
care?
Dating pool?
I don't know about the dating pool, but I think it is an attempt for her to, number one, stay relevant. Number two, I don't know about running for president. I have no idea.
But why would you want to stay relevant if you're not running for office?
Because you get addicted to the relevance. You get addicted to being in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And so,
okay.
But you know, part of that though is the opening two episodes. This is the from, I think it's the Financial Times, their official review. On the contrary, the opening two episodes seem vague and empty. The podcast doesn't shy away from cliche, and the overachieving siblings seem to be discussing everything from work ethic to adult friendships. But, you know, I'm not going to buy the whole short American attention span because Joe Rogan, his podcasts are like 3 hours long, and people will listen to that thing from beginning to end every day.
Yep.
So it's
and
not...
it's 2 hours. Sometimes 3.
Sometimes I think the average is about 3 hours with Joe Rogan.
And look at the J.D. Vance one. People listen to that from start to finish, and that was
exactly
a politician.
Right. So it's not America's low attention span. We have a low attention span for sucky content.
Yeah.
And Michelle Obama, again, I spent time listening to it. It's not very good.
How long did you last? How long did you last until you said I had enough?
About 4 sound bites. I didn't listen to the actual podcast. I listened to some sound bites.
Gotcha.
But even the sound bites suck. So, you know, and maybe she'll be, you know, running for president. Maybe she won't. I don't know. Should I even bother to ask?
Yeah, I mean, even
the poll. How's our poll doing?
Well, would you like to guess which one's winning?
All right. So the poll question, and there's a reason why I'm asking this because I could very easily get in a lot of trouble for this poll.
Yes, you could.
But the poll question, we changed it, is do you believe that Michelle Obama is a man? Maybe we should put in the word really. Do you really believe that Michelle Obama is a man? Because I don't believe that she is. But the comments to her poll, all these people, thousands of people are, you know, calling her a man. I don't believe she's a man. But The question is, do you really believe that Michelle Obama is a man? Yes or no? And the other one is C, which is there's plenty of provable things to hate the Obamas over. And so, I don't know, doesn't matter. I don't know how we framed it.
I worded it other things to care about.
Other things to care about. Good. So I hope that people said C, but I have a feeling that a lot of people said A.
I cannot wait for our leftist viewers who hate listening to this respond like on the text line. I cannot wait.
Right.
But 53% are saying yes, she's a man.
Okay.
No is at 13%, and 33% say other things to care about. So we have a commanding lead with yes.
But you know what? I like other things to care about. And other things that are provable. Do you know what I mean? Like I can prove that Obamacare is terrible. And there's a lot of really bad ramifications of Obamacare. I can talk about his Supreme Court justices. I can talk whatever. There's a lot of things not to like Barack Obama over, and whether or not his wife is a whatever. To me, that just doesn't matter.
I mean, we can try to prove she's a man or not. It's provable, but it's a dark place to go to find that.
How is it provable? Like, you talking about like
her being a man?
Oh,
it's very provable.
Let's just move right along.
All we have to do is look at all the pictures that people keep sending us on the super text line. Whoa.
What are they saying? I don't even know.
It's just people with memes, like sending memes, and it's pretty funny.
The memes of Michelle Obama just for the record, she has called us Nazis.
Yeah, she has.
So, I mean, what's worse, being called the opposite gender, or being called the Nazi? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, she's called us Nazis.
Agreed.
And all kinds of nasty things.
Agreed.
So, whatever.
She has no love left for us.
Oh, absolutely
and
not.
not that makes it right for us to not love her, but I'm just saying that it's not like it's hurting her.
Yeah, I don't love her at all.
Maybe the chef asked the question that we all want to know, and that's why he ended up dead.
Okay, can we just stop?
Can I
please drag us out of this?
Can I
Joan.
help you?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
So it's a little cool this morning if you want to throw on the jacket to start off the day. Not a bad idea. Shorts and short sleeves, and go ahead and have the umbrella at least handy. Not everybody is going to have to use the umbrella today, but it is going to be needed over the next couple of days.
Yeah,
Can't tell me what to do, man. I could live my own life.
It's freedom.
You said you could wear shorts.
I'm wearing a jacket out of spite.
You guys are not in uniform. You both have pants on. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
freedom.
But I also have a jacket on.
Oh,
I have a little. You haven't seen me.
Viva
yet
la
today, Joan, but
revolution!
Yeah, I'm wearing my little jacket today. So there you go.
Okay, all right.
If he ever does public appearances, he's gonna we should we can make a scene there.
You know what? If he ever does a public appearance, I want to tell him what to wear.
Hey, you should have been wearing.
It's exactly right.
So I follow him on, I guess it's Facebook.
Yeah.
And he does wear shorts and things like that, like on the weekends and stuff. He's always in a suit.
Sure.
On Channel 4.
Sure, as he should be. But
oh yeah, he's ignoring his own advice. He's wearing a suit every day.
Well, he has
that.
Come on, let's not be more. You know what? I think this segment might be the most petty segment we've ever done.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it.
Anyway, 5:54 on WTN. Rahm Emanuel is gearing up to run for president.
That's Rahm.
Rahm Emanuel. I don't know why do I call it Ram. Rahm Emanuel. Gearing up to run for president. Really?
Yes, I saw that too. I thought, what?
Wasn't he the mayor of that crap show that is Chicago?
Yes,
Rahm
and he
Emanuel?
was President Obama's sidekick, I guess.
Right. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Exactly, that was him.
I wonder if he knows anything about Michelle Obama's. Moving right along.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
So we're going to hear more from Stefano in the news here because we have some really severe weather that's headed our way, and not one round of it, but we've got two. So you need to know what's happening this weekend in the weather. That's all coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. there it is, 6 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Still working that accident scene this morning. Now, it's on the right shoulder. The right shoulder is blocked off at 24 westbound at the Rocky Fork Road overpass. That was a crash from last night around 11 o'clock. The highway had been closed for a good long time overnight. They opened it maybe an hour ago. So that delay is still there this morning. 24 westbound at the Rocky Fork overpass in Smyrna. You'll need some extra time. Got an accident too on Broadway at 16th Avenue. More to come right after the news. Well, weather forecasters are saying they have high confidence that we're going to have severe weather here over the weekend. Stefano DiPietro from Channel 4 tells us it begins tomorrow night, late in the night.
Friday night through the day Saturday, 2 rounds of showers and thunderstorms, and everything is on the table. Heavy rainfall, damaging wind gusts, maybe some hail, even a few isolated tornadoes through Friday night and into Saturday.
Straight line winds are also on the table. You'll want to stay weather alert all weekend long. Sunday looks like it's going to be pretty nice after all of this is out of here. Keep it here on WTN for the latest. Well, new developments in the legal fight over Columbia University grad student from Syria who the Trump administration wants to deport. Mahmoud Khalil is accused of helping a terrorist organization, Hamas, by organizing anti-Israel protests that terrorized Jewish students at the school. The government and defense attorneys presented arguments in court in New York yesterday over where that case will be heard.
The judge is just now beginning to weigh Khalil's bid for freedom, and his attorneys told the judge these are extraordinary circumstances. The lawyers insisted that he was identified, targeted, and detained because of his advocacy for the Palestinians in demonstrations against Israel that took over Columbia University's campus last spring.
ABC's Aaron Katursky reporting. State lawmakers here in Tennessee have been working on a bill that would let parents decide if they want to keep their kids at home if there's been a threat at school. Channel 4's Jeremy Finley.
So we've seen the measure pick up steam in the last 24 hours, passing 2 subcommittees in the House and the Senate. So how would it work? Well, anytime a school district gets a threat, the school would have 24 hours to pass that information along to police and parents. The bill would have schools use their existing text chains to do it. So think of it like when you get a message if your district is calling it for a day off because of snow. Well, the bill is on the fast track through the General Assembly. It would become law, of course, if Governor Lee signs it.
And other news, college basketball fans from the coast of the country are descending on Music City. They're here for the SEC, what's called the most intriguing tournament before the NCAA tournament begins with all of its madness. Metro Nashville police say they're on it. Officers both inside and outside Nissan Stadium are there to keep everyone safe.
But this year we feel safe because we see all the police everywhere. We see the police presence. We see roads blocked off, so you know you're safe. So we definitely feel safe.
Those ladies speaking to Channel 4 there. You may also have to dodge more pedal taverns than usual this weekend. Match Market Numbers Report here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Not much change in the futures this morning. The Dow futures are up 18, but the NASDAQ futures down 22. S&P futures are flat. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, the big backup that everyone's talking about is on 24, the westbound lanes. It's at the Rocky Fork overpass. That was from a crash that happened overnight. They closed down the road, and now they've opened it back up again to traffic. But as this sometimes happens, there has been an accident now in the backup as well. So there's a crash on 24 westbound on the right shoulder and a crash in the backup as well. 24 westbound at Rocky Ford overpass. Also Midtown, accident on Broadway at 16th Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mahmoud Khalil. You know, it's interesting because I think the Trump administration really wants to make an example out of Mahmoud Khalil. Now, if you don't know, Murphy's talked about this. Everybody's talked about this. I find it interesting that the Trump administration really going gung-ho on getting this guy out of the country. And they should try to get him out of the country. Now, there's been a lot of debate over whether or not this guy can actually be deported. You heard Joan talking about this at the top of the hour. First of all, this guy is a graduate of Columbia University, and he is one of the ringleaders of all of these Columbia University protests against Jewish students and against Israel. And so one of the things that I thought was really effective was Marsha Blackburn. Senator Marsha Blackburn, she stood up in the Senate and she just blasted this guy. And she really did make the case for why Mahmoud Khalil should be deported. Come on, man.
And
there we go.
This was a ringleader for Columbia's anti-Israel encampment. As I said, a former student. At these demonstrations, pro-Hamas activists spat on Jewish students.
Assault.
They chanted, "F the Jews," and they held signs next to Jewish students claiming that they would be Hamas's next target.
All right, so if that's true, if Senator Marsha Blackburn is correct, and I believe that she is, then this guy is a former student, and he was the ringleader, as she alleges, of these protests, assault, intimidation. We could probably throw in trespassing, maybe vandalism as well, and depending on what happened, maybe more. And so you've got all these people that are saying, well, yeah, but he's a green card holder. He's a legal citizen. Well, here's the thing. Can the government deport green card holders? The short answer is abso-flippin-lutely. Green card holders can be deported, but the government has the burden to prove that the person is deportable. Grounds for deportation, and this is what the big argument is about. Grounds for deportation can range from being convicted of a range of crimes from murder, assault, burglary, tax evasion, domestic violence, illegal firearms possession, according to immigration law experts. And so everybody's looking at this because I don't believe that this guy has been convicted of any crimes. But as you just heard Marsha Blackburn say, the senator, that there's a lot of things that he has done as a ringleader for all of these anti-Israel, pro-Hamas protests that we saw over the last couple of years. And if you're the ringleader where people are being assaulted by being spit upon, well, then ultimately you need to stand trial. And if you're convicted, then off you go. But also listen to this. A legal permanent resident can also be expelled for providing material support to a terrorist group, in which case the government does not need a criminal conviction to bring deportation charges. So what do they actually have on this guy? His background, he has worked with terrorist organizations, for example.
In many ways, Khalil was the perfect leader for this anti-Semitic pro-terror movement. What we know is this: before he enrolled at Columbia University, he allegedly served as a political affairs officer for UNRWA. That is right, the UN Relief and Works Agency there in Gaza.
Yep. Now, if you don't know, and I've been babbling about these folks forever, UNRWA is a big-time Hamas-supporting organization. It helps fund Hamas. It helps hide them and their money and their weapons. And overall, what they do is they help organize terrorist attacks. This is what UNRWA does. So this guy, Mahmoud Khalil, he has done exactly what I said people do that is deport-worthy, and that is support terrorist organizations. Now, whether or not you want to call UNRWA a terrorist organization is, up to you. I believe that they are. Many others believe that they are as well. And yes, they do help terrorist organizations. The question is that will the Republicans be able to prove that this guy is deportable? But I love that Marsha Blackburn, she came out swinging, and I love it. Do you know this organization, UNRWA? Do you know what they do? They actually hide missiles and weapons underneath schools and underneath hospitals. And that's also where they will hide hostages as well. And so this is a bad organization, and this guy used to work for this organization that supports Hamas.
Now, this is the same UNRWA that we now know indoctrinated Palestinian children to hate the Jews.
Yep.
Stored Hamas's weapons in its facilities in Gaza. They actually put ammunition and weapons in the schools, the UN schools there in Gaza.
Yep. I mean, that's what this organization does. They actually had Hamas fighters on the payroll, dozens of them, as the investigation continued into not only this organization, but into Hamas and their attack on Israel. They helped plan it. They had these Hamas fighters on the payroll. And this is clearly a big issue. And that's why Donald Trump and many, if not all Republicans, want this guy out of the country, because clearly he supports Hamas attacking Israel and butchering 1,200 people.
There is no reason why someone like this should be allowed in our country to support terrorism and to promote anti-Jewish bigotry. That's why Secretary Rubio is intending to deport Khalil, which this administration has the full authority to do under our federal immigration laws.
That's what she says, and Marco Rubio is chiming in on this. Got a little bit more on this at 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
There's an accident at 16th Avenue. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 76 and partly cloudy. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So the big question is how to deport this Mahmoud Khalil. Because to me, he clearly does need to go. I mean, obviously. And so Marsha Blackburn is coming up with legislation that should enable us to deport people like Mahmoud Khalil and keep them out. This is what she said about that legislation on the Senate floor.
As we work to deport Hamas affiliates, my bipartisan no immigration benefits for Hamas terrorist act would block any migrant tied to Hamas from entering our country. And my no flight for terrorist act would put anyone on the no-fly list if they have called for violence against the Jewish people or pledged allegiance to a foreign terrorist organization.
He clearly has. And listen, I'm all for freedom of speech. See, this is where it gets a little dicey, right? Because I'm all for freedom of speech, absolutely. But if you have actually, and the allegations are here against Mahmoud Khalil, the allegations are, and it seems to me proven, I mean, Senator Blackburn is talking about this from the Senate floor, that he provided aid to UNRWA, this organization, many people say a terrorist organization that supports Hamas. Well, then that means that you are deportable. Guy is being held right now in Louisiana, and they're going through, where should the trial be and all of this. But it does seem to me that this guy absolutely needs to go. But at the same time, you do have to protect his right to free speech. But I will repeat, if you're just joining us, this is a big debate. Is he deportable? Does the federal government have a case to deport this guy? Because it's really easy, and just so we're clear, the emotional side of me and the emotional side of most people listening right now to this radio program would say, absolutely he needs to go. But was he just expressing his right to free speech, or was he organizing an event where people were literally assaulted, which is what happened at Columbia University with all of these protests and all of these pro-Hamas rallies? I mean, you just heard what Senator Marsha Blackburn said, that this guy was the ringleader where people were spit upon, people were intimidated. I'm sure that there were other things like trespassing and vandalism as well. And so can the government, again, deport green card holders? Short answer, they say yes. Green card holders can be deported. The government has the burden to prove the person is deportable, being convicted of crimes, a range of crimes, of course, but, and this is where that gray area is, a legal permanent resident can also be expelled for providing material support to a terrorist group, in which case the government does not need a criminal conviction to bring deportation charges. Here's the final quote, and this is from a deportation expert. Material support for immigration purposes is much broader than the criminal definition of the term. For example, people have been deported for simply providing a cup of water or a bowl of rice to guerrilla groups, even under duress. So we'll have to see what happens here. But for me, I love the fact that the Trump administration is going after these people. I do believe that Mahmoud Khalil does need to go. We'll have to see ultimately what the judges decide. And so far, I think that the Republicans and Marco Rubio is saying that, yes, Department of Homeland Security writing that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has determined that Khalil's presence or activities in the United States would have serious adverse foreign policy consequences here in the United States. By the way, Khalil graduated in December with a master's degree from Columbia University's School of International and Public Affairs. He is 30 years old. And by the way, yes, he is married to an American citizen. So there's that wrinkle as well. By the way, coming up, you know who we're going to speak to about just this? Jonathan Fahey is going to join us, and he's going to have former acting director of ICE. So he's got a lot to say about this as well. That'll be at 6:35 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Well, we have a storm situation brewing up that's going to disrupt most of our weekend. You're going to want to hear about this coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Glock store. Dan Mandis here. America is full of gun stores, but here in Middle Tennessee, my home for all things two-way is the Glock store. Whether it is training, buying, or upgrading, you can count on the Glock store. Now, one of the reasons why Glocks are the most popular handgun in America is that there's so many ways to customize and utilizing performance parts. You've got night sights and competition triggers, red dot optics. There's so many ways to upgrade your firearm. And yes, they can do it at the Glock store for free and while you wait. There's always a gunsmith on duty at the Glock store. And yes, you did hear that right. You can buy the parts. They'll install them for free while you wait at the Glock store. That is exactly what I did. That's what you can do as well. There's a lot of reasons to like the Glock store. Free parts and installation is just one of them. I know that you'll find lots to like about the Glock store, just like me. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Find them online, 2 handy websites. Easy to remember, shoot270.com and glockstore.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. .625 Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. You know, my vision over the years had been getting worse and worse, and I knew that I needed to make a change. Deciding where to go for vision correction can be complicated. It does take a lot of research. So when I started doing my research and I started asking around and looking online, one name kept coming up, my buddy Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, their reviews are incredible and amazing. So many people are sharing life-changing stories about their vision correction procedures. Now, I just had mine done with Dr. Horn. It was amazing. And one of the things that I really liked about Dr. Horn is that he spends so much time walking you through the process, and it's great. I had a lot of concerns, but he put my mind at ease, and I'm weeks after the surgery now, and I'm at 20/20 vision. I've never been happier. Dr. Horn has been selected by his peers as one of the best physicians, one of the best eye surgeons, and one of the top 250 premier cataract surgeons in America. And most recently, he's been voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. So I went with Dr. Horn. If you're thinking about vision correction, you should as well. Do your research and then call 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020 for Vision for Life. Find them online, visionforlife.com. 627, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There's a lot of debate over this Mahmoud Khalil and whether or not he should be deported. You have some folks that say that no, he shouldn't be, and we are legally not able to deport him. Other people saying that absolutely we can deport him. I believe that we can. I mean, we're going to speak to Jonathan Fahey here in just a couple of minutes. But I believe that he can. And if you clearly hate America, you know what's so sad? Is that I understand, the First Amendment and all of these other things. I totally get it. But when you are the ringleader of these protests that are causing assault and battery and vandalism and trespassing and all of these other things, well, then does that not go beyond free speech? And if it's proven that this guy and Senator Marsha Blackburn said that he worked with UNRWA and this organization that helps and supports Hamas, who attacks Israel, the terrorist organization, then to me, this is an open and shut case. But I do agree that there's a lot of disagreement, I guess, amongst conservatives. So we're going to go ahead and ditch the poll question that we had up there about Michelle Obama, moving right along. And the new question is this, Joan.
Yeah.
Mahmoud Khalil, should he be deported? Yes or no?
Excellent question.
I think that's an excellent question. By the way, most people thought Michelle Obama was a man.
Shocking.
Shocking, isn't it?
Yes.
Whatever. Anyway, but I think there might be more disagreement over Mahmoud Khalil. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Jonathan Fahey, who is a highfalutin attorney, and he also used to be the ICE director, acting ICE director under Donald Trump term 1. He's going to join us here in just a few minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We cannot get away from the traffic nightmares on 24 this morning. Already, we've got another accident on 24, the westbound lanes at Murfreesboro Pike exit 52, and the two center lanes are blocked off. And a lot of traffic behind that is pretty slow again this morning. Things have been a mess there all morning long. We'll deal more with it right after the news. Now, we are on alert for some bad weather over the weekend. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro telling us that things are going to start to heat up for us while we are sleeping on Friday night.
That should be right around, if not just after midnight. Right along the I-65 corridor should happen just before we get to sunrise on Saturday morning, and then continuing east of I-65 as we head through the late morning and into the early part of the afternoon.
Now, the Friday night risk of severe weather is 3 out of 5 for parts west of I-65, a little less risk across the rest of Middle Tennessee. But it's not over after that. There's more to come.
At the same time, there's another storm system developing down to our south. So by the late stages of our morning on Saturday, more showers and storms start to fire up. And this is really where the bulk of our heavy rainfall will come from. Saturday afternoon through the evening, into the early stages of the overnight. There's really no way around this. This is not only going to be a drencher, but bring us yet another round of strong to severe thunderstorms, which will eventually taper off through Saturday night.
And the risk level for Saturday is a 3 out of 5 for most areas of Tennessee. Stefano also says that all that rain that comes down all at one time may also cause some flash flooding. So we'll keep you updated here. Keep it here on 99.7 WTN all weekend long. Well, state lawmakers have advanced legislation that requires schools to notify parents about a school threat. Under this legislation, if the school gets a credible threat that gets reported to police, officials must also alert parents within 24 hours. Now, schools can use the same methods of communication that they already use to notify parents of closures for things like snow. This bill would become law as soon as the governor signs it. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Pick a Joan, 632 Nashville's Morning News on WTN. You know, I've been telling you for years about United Structural Systems. They are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. Now, this is a great company. They've helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. Now, I am one of 30,000 satisfied customers. Listen to this recent review on Google. A guy says the USS, they were highly professional. The crew was phenomenal from start to finish. They treated his home as if they were working on their own home. And he does give USS 5 stars all the way, as do I. United Structural Systems, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you're a satisfied customer. Now, USS can help you with an array of issues with your home. They can help you with, among many things, basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com. .634 Nashville's Morning News. Listen, that pre-summer stress is beginning to kick in. How confident are you that you're ready to slide into that bathing suit? Now, listen, if you need help, don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Take action. Check out my friends at Contours of Cool Springs. They are experts in red light technology. Now, with that red light technology, they can help you lose 2 inches of fat in that first session, or it is free. I did it. My pants noticeably looser. And let me tell you something. If you feel like it doesn't work, well, the session is free. You know that Contours in Cool Springs is the only place in Tennessee with this cutting-edge red light technology. Folks come from everywhere because what Contours offers is unique and effective. See how it works at their website. It's contoursllc.com. Now, right now, Contours is offering you a $99 belly buster special to the first 10 callers. Now, that is normally a $600 value. First 10 callers right now, $99. You save $500 by calling right now, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Find them online, contoursllc.com.
Okay, still working the accident scene on 24, the westbound lanes at Murfreesboro Pike, exit 52. The two center lanes remain blocked off, and it's stop and go behind that this morning. Also, Midtown Broadway at 16th Ave, you've got an accident. Trousdale Drive in Nashville at Harding Place, an accident. Also, in Tucker's Crossroads, 40, the eastbound side before Linwood Road, exit 245, an accident. It's pushed over to the shoulder. The shoulder is blocked off there. That one, by the way, is a vehicle versus a service truck. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, it is interesting. I'm reading all about this Mahmoud Khalil. And you know who his lawyers are, Joan? His lawyers in the past have represented members of al-Qaeda and close associates of Osama bin Laden.
I think that says everything we need to know about this guy, right?
Well, let's see what Jonathan Fahey has to say. Jonathan, always great to have you on. Welcome on into WTN. And, I mean, this guy, Mohammed Khalil. So I guess the debate is this guy worthy of deportation? I mean, he hasn't been convicted of any crimes, but as I'm, reading up on all of this, they say that you can't deport somebody who has helped terrorist organizations. And it seems to me if he has worked with UNRWA, which supports Hamas, then he has helped terrorist organizations. What say you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You don't have to be convicted of anything to be deported under that. You just have to be, I think it's reasonable grounds to believe you're supporting terrorists or something like that. And the other prong of it was they're using to deport him is that he's doing things adverse to Americans' national or foreign policy interests. So, handing out flyers on behalf of Hamas, a terrorist organization, is certainly adverse to our foreign policy interests. If more people support Hamas, that's detrimental to our foreign policy. So both of those make total sense. And I think what's interesting here, a couple things, which I'm sure you've pointed out, but how the Democrats are now in favor of free speech, particularly at Columbia University, is pretty remarkable. Like, this is where they want to stake their ground. The people that would want somebody fired for misgendering somebody and things like that will fight to the death for this guy, not literally to the death, but will fight tooth and nail for this guy. And the other thing, have you ever seen those surveys that show the colleges with the least free speech? And I think, it's FIRE is that organization, but I think Harvard is routinely last, and I think Columbia is second to last, and they rate the free speech climate in Columbia as abysmal. So it's just funny that, the Democrats are now the free speech party, but if you wanted to go to a college campus and speak out against DEI or anything else, you would be run out of that place so quick. They run out conservative speakers routinely, but this guy that's supporting Hamas is their cause celeb. It's pretty remarkable to me.
So the question, because this guy's a green card holder, which means that he's a legal citizen. He's also, by the way, married to an American woman. So does that add any wrinkles to all of this?
The green card holder, I think it's just you're another step closer to citizenship. But no, those same prongs can remove him under that if it's adverse to American foreign policy or supporting terrorism. And just so you know, for the Supreme Court there's a crime called material support of terrorism, and the Supreme Court has ruled that bar is quite low as to what is material support. So certainly this idea of handing out flyers on behalf of a terrorist organization, I think, is arguably meets that prong anyway, even under a criminal standard. They probably won't go that far, but it does seem like, this is something they normally don't do. But again, I think it shows a sea change where, the Biden administration, everything was set up for the interest of the immigrant or the illegal alien, and the Trump administration is, let's put America first, American citizens first. So when in doubt, do what's in the best interest of American citizens, not the immigrant and often the illegal immigrant under Biden. So I think it just shows what the sea change is, which is being here is a privilege. It's not a right, and we are going to put our interests ahead of the interests of immigrants and illegal immigrants.
Jonathan Fahey, former acting director of ICE under Donald Trump, term 1. I guess and I played some audio from Senator Marsha Blackburn earlier, where she was also accusing this guy of being the ringleader. And I think it's been proven that he's also been the ringleader of these protests at Columbia University, where you have people that have been spat on. I believe that's assault, intimidation, probably vandalism, probably trespassing as well. So I would assume that if he was ultimately convicted of being a ringleader of those crimes, and I don't know what charges he would face and so forth, but that would also be another reason to get this guy out of our country, right?
Yeah, exactly. That could be other reasons to remove him. And what's going on at these campuses, it's not just these friendly, innocent protests. There's a lot of intimidation, a lot of assaults. And Andrew McCarthy wrote a column, I don't know if it was a column, but it was something I saw that he had written about this, which talked about how this guy was sort of the mediator between the protesters and the university, which Andrew McCarthy equated that to basically being extortion. We'll tone down our protests and our violence if you make all these concessions to us, divest from Israel or whatever they were seeking. So that's also kind of an interesting aspect to it as well. But what's been going on in Columbia, again, it's just so disgraceful, particularly in light of what I was talking about, how they don't ever respect free speech until it's pro-Hamas free speech, and then all of a sudden our universities are these bastions of free speech and critical thinking. It's pretty remarkable, and everybody that pays attention knows it's not remotely true.
Well, and there's a difference between free speech and, as we've well established here, so I'm going to move on, but there's a big difference between free speech and participating in protests where crimes are being committed, being the ringleader of these protests where crimes are being committed. And then, of course, we talk about the supporting of terrorist organizations and all of that. So to me, this is not a free speech issue. This is about deporting somebody who is committing crimes, who is facilitating crimes, and he is aiding and abetting terrorist organizations. And by the way, I think you probably heard when I came on that his attorneys are attorneys that have also represented, members of Al-Qaeda and associates of Osama bin Laden. So that, to me, as Joan said, tells you all you need to know. Now, moving on from there, ICE, their arrests have now topped 32,000 illegal aliens since Donald Trump took office. Apparently, the various holding facilities, I'm not sure about Gitmo, but, they're getting full up. As a former acting director of ICE under Donald Trump first term, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on what this administration is accomplishing?
Huge thumbs up, and even better than expected, and I expected a lot. I mean, they are, crushing it every single day. And, it just shows, really, it highlights what the Biden administration was doing and what they were not doing, which is they weren't doing anything on this issue, because the only real difference here is the effort and will to do this. They haven't gotten additional funding. They haven't gotten anything else. And yet they've basically shut down the border in terms of illegal crossings, probably shut down a lot of fentanyl from coming across. We don't necessarily know that. But it's just really the effort and the messaging. And it just highlights, we all know this, but for anyone that's in doubt, the Biden administration was doing this intentionally, and it's not even arguable now, because the only other option was historic incompetence, but historic incompetence usually doesn't lead to the exact results you campaign on. So it's the only thing that really makes sense, and I hope everyone realizes the Biden administration was doing this for political reasons, and they were willing to sacrifice the safety, security of American citizens, as well as prosperity and all these other issues we talk about all the time.
6:45, Jonathan Fahey, hold on. Got a couple of more questions, including, of course, government shutdown. Time to check the roads on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
South 59 degrees. Murfreesboro Pike, accident blocks the 2 center lanes. Stop traffic from 440. Midtown Broadway, an accident at 16th Avenue and Tucker's Crossroads. 40 eastbound before Linwood Road, accident on the left shoulder. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Thank you very much. As far as your weather today, it's going to be partly cloudy, a high of 76. Right now, 59 degrees, I believe we said, at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So there's these accusations now, Jonathan Fahey, that Biden's Department of Homeland Security, they say, was cooking the books to pump up ICE arrests, basically lying or falsify the number of arrests he was making under ICE, which, by the way, were already abysmal. Not real surprising that he was lying, right?
Not the least bit, and they basically lied about everything. But what they were doing here, which is so shameful, and remember, this came out, the information came out from the new director of ICE, who's not a political, I mean, now he's in a political job, but he was a career ICE official, so there's no reason to think these are anything but true. But they were basically processing people, counting them as arrests, but then releasing them out into our communities. Yep. So they were trying to get some credit that they were actually doing something while they were actually, putting dangerous people out in the community and lying about it. But everything they did during the Biden administration with respect to immigration was always a lie. They say, they're coming for root causes. And then they would say they're coming because they're asylum seekers, which are not the root causes they identified. And then they never, ever told the truth. They lied about Border Patrol agents. They lied about ICE agents. And it was just lie after lie after lie. And it's so shameful because, politicians, we know they lie and we know other stuff. But when you do something that is so detrimental to the United States citizens, and you think of the more notable cases like Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungary that would be alive if not for the Biden administration, but there are many, many more, and there are gonna be more. That's the scary thing. There are people the Biden administration welcome in, probably flew in, that are going to commit horrible crimes, and we have not been able to get them out yet. And they did this for political reasons. It's one of the most shameful things ever done. And, Secretary Mayorkas and all of these people, I hope they continue to have hearings on this and hold them to account and expose it even more to the public.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right. Looming possible government shutdown. So it's really interesting. House of Representatives, of course, as everyone knows, Republicans, they have gone ahead and got the continuing resolution to the Senate. The Senate, it's a little murky. I don't know. They need, I think, 7 or 8 Democrats to be able to vote for the continuing resolution to avoid a filibuster. I don't think they're going to make it. It looks like the Democrats are going to be holding the bag for a government shutdown.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable that, the voice of reason in the Democratic Party is John Fetterman right now. And it's interesting that the Democrats are going to, take this down because the Republican reaction may not be what they think. It might be, well, let's let it just shut down because the Republican position is we don't really need most of these workers anyway, and most of them are Democratic constituents. So if you're a government worker and you're looking at Chuck Schumer just putting your career in jeopardy because we don't know that they'll all come back, I think it's going to backfire on the Democrats big time. I think this will probably end up costing Chuck Schumer his leadership position because all he can do at this point is oppose Trump. You think the smart move would be on this DOJ stuff to say, hey, why don't we find a way to work on this and we'll help you identify some cuts, but just not the way you're doing it. Let's do it a different, a more strategic way or whatever they want to do. You feel like they could build a lot of credibility, and then if the Republicans, slap their hands away, they look good, but it's just remarkable. All they can do is, anything Trump does, they're against. He cures cancer. They don't want the cure. Whatever it is, it's just so amazing. But I think this is going to massively backfire because, ultimately next week, the essential workers, which are a lot of the people that actually are essential, will still be going to work. So then it helps the DOJ people and everyone else identify who's not essential and puts their jobs at greater risk than they currently are now. So I think it's a massive mistake on the Democratic Party, but there's no strategic thinking in that party whatsoever because, we could all sit back and think of everything they're doing just seems like a crazy reaction as opposed to, their thoughtful ways to attack things, and they never take the thoughtful way.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome isn't really a strategy. I mean, it's just not. And so just like the media, just like Democrats of the past, just like a lot of folks in Hollywood, today's Democrats, whether we're talking about most in the House and probably all in the Senate, I don't know, but Trump derangement syndrome is not a strategy, and all it's doing is it does continue to destroy the Democrat Party. Jonathan Fahey, how can people follow you on X?
John for Fairfax, JONFORFAIRFAX.
All right, John for Fairfax on X. Thank you very much. Talk to you again soon. Always love Jonathan's analysis. It is 6:50. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up at 7?
So we'll tell you what's to come from Mother Nature this weekend. It ain't pretty, and you're going to want to hear about it. Also, remember this sound? Oh, yeah.
Is that cicadas?
Well, you're just going to have to stick around in the news to find out, Dan.
All right.
Yeah,
They're
those
back in my
stories
brain.
coming up at 7. Make that 7 o'clock here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Joan. It is spring rebate madness at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Got a lot of rebates to save you money as usual for this time of year. Now, right now, they've got a rebate for you. A mini split 17 SEER or a heat pump 17 SEER, that is an $800 rebate. Heat pumps 15 and 16 SEER, a $500 rebate. Duct sealing or repair, a $300 rebate. So many ways to save with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You join the Beehive Club today, by the way, the Beehive Club. You get a $50 rebate on your spring and your fall tune-ups. And you know what that means? That means that you've already saved enough money to pay for that Beehive membership for the year. They'll even file those rebates so you don't have to. Ton of other benefits when you join the Beehive Club from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Check out their website, busybeehvac.com. 615-775-7833. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. Online, busybeehvac.com. 6:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, Dan Mann is here along with Joan Jones, KGB as well. Joan, I don't know if I should make this an official topic or not.
Go ahead.
Have you seen the brouhaha on X over McDonald's in Franklin?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my Lord. So,
okay, I haven't heard this. So
here's what happened. The McDonald's in Franklin, I guess they've got a new play place, where the kids play. And there's nothing in there. There's just, it's like a, what would you say is in there, Joan? You saw the photo. It's like a video.
It's just a room.
Two chairs in a corner.
2 chairs in a corner with screens in front of it.
Tablets.
And
one, they say, lame interactive game. So and then apparently they because they're building this, they also put up some sort of a column thing for getting kids to exercise a little bit. But,
whatever happened to the ball pits?
The ball pits.
And the slides.
The slides, the tunnels.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You know what happened in political correctness?
Yeah. That, I think COVID ruined everything. And people, get germs going down those things. Somebody's bound to throw up or, have a poopy diaper.
Do you know? Oh, gosh. Somebody KGB fact check me on this.
Yeah.
I think there was a study that showed that the ball pits in McDonald's were the dirtiest, germiest. But you see, here's the thing. That's how we build up immunity.
That's exactly correct.
So it's like, see, here's what I think. I think that they're too worried about little kids' feelings and that the ball pits turned competitive. The kids, you learn about life on a playground.
Yeah.
And you learn about life in McDonald's play place. And so there's a lot of competition on the playground and in the play place. It's rough and tumble.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could always count on, and listen, I played when I was a little kid. If I remember right, I think I used to play in these McDonald's play places. I know that my kids did.
Yeah. How about Chuck E. Cheese? I mean, that was gross too.
Oh.
Whatever.
Ugh.
Have you gotten pink eye at like one of those play places?
Absolutely.
Because I think everyone, it's a coming of age story. You get like pink eye.
My daughter did.
Yeah.
So, but to me, and so the photos and the video of this was the McDonald's in Franklin here in Middle Tennessee, where the woman just posted, "This is so heartbreaking."
Oh my gosh!
Couple of screens and a one little pole thing for exercise. No ball pit, no slides.
Also,
no tunnels.
It's an empty room.
It's an empty room.
The outside of the McDonald's don't have any color anymore. They're dark colored with a yellow M, and that's it.
Whatever happened to McDonald's, man? Come on.
Knock it off.
All right.
What happened to My America?
What happened to My America, man? Where's my ball pit?
Yeah.
Give me ball pits or give me death.
Next presidential elections, they should fight for those play places to come back.
All right, moving on. 7 o'clock, WTN.
Good morning. It is 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Traffic is really an issue today. We've got eastbound 24, a mess at Whites Creek, at the Clay Lick Road overpass with a crash there. Also a crash on 24, the westbound lanes at the Eastern Split, a crash there blocking the Gore, and it's stop-and-go traffic up to that spot, too. We'll have more right after the news here. Mounting pressure now on Capitol Hill lawmakers to prevent a potential government shutdown.
The government is inching closer to a shutdown after Senate Democrats announced they will not support the House-passed funding bill. Now, certainly no one wants to see the government shut down, but Senate Democrats say they're concerned that the current bill would give the Trump administration too much leeway to continue overhauling the government. Instead, they're now hoping for a short-term solution, but the clock is ticking. The government set to shut down Friday at midnight.
And that's ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Here in Tennessee, we have some potentially severe weather that's headed our way. Here's Stefano DiPietro.
Now, in the middle of the night Friday, here we go. Here come showers and thunderstorms in parts of West Middle Tennessee. That should happen just before or right around midnight. Then continuing to march to the east by the early stages of the morning. It's right along the I-65 corridor, and then late into the morning, it moves out into the Cumberland Plateau. Then we should get a break from this. Second batch develops Saturday afternoon and into Saturday evening.
And he says with that, widespread thunderstorms, flooding is possible too, even tornadoes. All of it's on the table. And all of it is bound to change as well. So as it changes, we will keep you informed through tomorrow. You want to stay weather alert and keep it here on WTN for all your latest information. Well, a bill to increase the penalty for fake rideshare drivers is advancing in the General Assembly. This comes amid a growing number of people pretending to be Lyft, Uber, or cab drivers, and their goal is to get you in the car, and then they don't let you out until you pay exorbitant fees. This woman tells Channel 4 how she stays safe.
I'm always just very uber cautious. Like when you open up the door, the driver should say your name. That's how you know it's your car, and making sure that the information matches the app. It's a white car, the license plate, and usually it's right. So
Cabbies say you should always check to see if the car has a decal, a meter, some of the lights on the top of the car, driver's permit in the window. That's another good sign. Spring is bringing us another visit from the cicadas. And Tennessee is one of the 5 states that are going to see the highest concentration of those little critters. Now, if you care to get close enough to notice, scientists say that these cicadas this time around will have a little more color to them. They're going to appear more orange and black than usual. And this particular brood isn't coming back again until 2042. So stocks this morning, market numbers report here. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Things are in the red in the futures market here as we head toward the market open. The Dow futures down 73, NASDAQ futures minus 85, S&P futures are down 14 points. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, looks like we've got some accidents this morning. Now, 24 the westbound lanes after Briley Parkway. This is Glencliff. There's an accident that's on the left shoulder. Also, 24 westbound at the Eastern Split. There's a crash with stop-and-go traffic, and the Gore is blocked there. Whites Creek, an accident. This is the eastbound lanes of 24 at the Clay Lick Road overpass, and that is jammed up as well. Got a crash in Madison on Gallatin Pike South. just south of Due West Avenue. That one involves some injuries. A crash in Joelton as well this morning on Whites Creek Pike north of Jackman Road. And then in Antioch at Harding Place and Antioch Pike, that is the scene of another accident. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Lots of news on the economy this week. We're going to get into that, but just real quick to let you know that right now we have the Trump administration. They are heading to Moscow, if not already there, to engage in talks with Vladimir Putin. Yesterday and all week, we did a deep dive on what it is that Donald Trump is working with as far as Ukraine goes, effectively settling on a 30-day ceasefire so that they could try to work on some sort of a long-lasting peace deal. Well, now the big question is, and as we spoke last night and yesterday, what happens now? Will Russia accept a 30-day peace deal? All indications are that no, they're not going to. As a matter of fact, last night, Russia and Vladimir Putin actually put on fighting gear, and he was wearing camouflage, and he bombarded Ukraine with missiles and troops, and they're not stopping in any way, shape, or form. Now the Daily Mail is reporting that Vladimir Putin, not only does he have no intention of accepting a 30-day ceasefire, but now they're also saying that really what they've been doing, the Kremlin, is they've been working to undermine Donald Trump's want for peace and his drive towards peace since at least January or February. And so they've been, undermining everything the president has been trying to do behind the scenes. At least that is what the Daily Mail is reporting. And they're saying that no, the Russian leader will not be accepting a 30-day ceasefire. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And so now that means that all of this will be in Donald Trump's court. So if Putin, sends the Trump administration away and says no 30-day ceasefire, or what they'll do is they'll make unreasonable demands that Ukraine, there's no way that they would accept because they want to keep fighting. So now the question will be, what will Donald Trump and Europe, United Nations, and Ukraine, what will they do moving forward? We'll have to wait and see what happens today. 7:09, Nashville's Morning News. We have had some great economic news. It did come down yesterday. And this week, the headline, inflation cooling. It rose 0.2% in February. Not as bad as expected. On an annual basis, this is from the Associated Press, on an annual basis, headline inflation was at 2.8%, while core was at 3.1%. Both also were 0.1 percentage points below the Wall Street consensus and the previous month's levels. Prices for goods and services moved up less than expected in February, providing some relief as consumers and businesses worry about the looming impact that tariffs may have on inflation. So here's my deal on this. I don't celebrate when there's victories as much as maybe some other people, and I don't get really down when there's negative stories on Donald Trump as well. We're playing the long game. We are. This was 1 month, and yes, this was good news. Next month, news may not be as good. The next month after that, the news may be better. We just don't know. But I don't get uber excited over 1 month. I just don't. But that being said, CNBC was all over this.
Manufacturing is back. If you believe that a supply chain bringing parts of cars across the border with Mexico or Canada 7 times, and this is efficient, this is not. This is insanity. We got to build in America. We got to produce things here.
Yeah, that was a CNBC guy was saying that manufacturing is back here in America. And we have seen those jobs increase since Donald Trump took office with 10,000. They say new manufacturing jobs, and how it makes more sense. This guy was saying it makes more sense to manufacture, to build cars here and their parts here in America as well, especially with the tariff wars that are ahead.
Finally, we have some good news on the economy and really the number one issue for many Americans, the cost of living. So we just learned that consumer prices in February increased by 2.8% year over year, 0.2% month over month. Both of these figures were a step in the right direction, and both were better than expected. So this is definitely very encouraging to see.
Yeah, and you know, CNN was choking over that announcement, that report. They hated to report that, but it is good news. Now, one thing that I love, of course, is that Trump, and this is true, Donald Trump has been very hands-on, right? He's been reaching out. He's been directly working with business owners and entrepreneurs, the people that truly can help make a difference here in America for me and you and our economy and what we pay for a loaf of bread. I mean, Donald Trump hosted Tim Cook from Apple. He hosts the CEOs of auto manufacturers. He hosts the CEOs of chip makers, those who are developing AI strategies as well, not only here in America, but across the world.
One of the things that I do like is that the president is engaged with the business community. The administration is engaged with the business community. And that's a different experience than what we've had over the course of the last 4 years.
Yeah, Joe Biden has been hiding. Donald Trump has been very hands-on. The price of eggs, I know that you've heard this probably from me or somebody else, but the price of eggs has gone down, they say, almost $2 since Donald Trump took office. Now, remember, though, it's important to remember, we're talking about Donald Trump and how he has been very hands-on. The president is investing over $1 billion to combat avian flu and figure out the best way to keep the cost of eggs down. But that's really what I love about Donald Trump, is that instead of paying billions through USAID for other countries to really do lame DEI kind of stuff, not to mention we've been funding propaganda, we've been funding regime change, Donald Trump is using our money to invest in our economy, $1 billion to keep the price of eggs down. That is money well spent. That direct action leads to prices going down. What did Joe Biden do? He killed all the chickens. Donald Trump, what is he doing? He's investing in our own economy, not the economy, not the governments of other nations. And so now many economists are also saying that we don't yet know the impact of Donald Trump's tariff war on prices. We're going to get to that straight ahead. 7:15, time to check the roads on WTN.
Long Hollow Pike, an accident at 65, and Madison Gallatin Pike, an accident south of Due West Avenue. Watch for emergency crews on the scene. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:15, Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather today, a high of 76, partly cloudy skies. Right now, 59 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, as I said previously, we don't know what next month's numbers are going to look like as far as inflation, as far as jobs go. Again, I don't get too excited over, month-to-month gains. I don't get too depressed over month-to-month losses. I will tell you, though, that, February was the first month that really Donald Trump had a direct impact on, because January was all Joe Biden. But part of what's going on is you have a lot of people in the media, and they're trying to dismiss what Donald Trump has done to keep prices down and try to get prices down. I just told you what he did for the cost of eggs, investing in our economy. Now, you've got a lot of folks screaming that we are going to see higher prices with Donald Trump's tariff wars. And what the man is trying to do, he is trying to completely turn our economy inside out. He wants it based on tariffs. He wants to utilize tariffs more effectively. That will end up with higher prices. But when you are, I think it'll be hopefully temporarily higher prices. But overall, I believe that it'll be good for the economy in both jobs creation and income, among many other things.
This administration is walking and chewing gum at the same time. The president is effectively utilizing tariffs, not just as a negotiating tactic, but actually implementing them, as we saw with the 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, to bolster those industries here in the United States, to advance our national security interests, to create good-paying jobs here at home. And you've actually seen the steel and aluminum industries applaud those tariffs as being good for their manufacturing, for their revenue, and for their workers.
I mean, that, of course, is Caroline Leavitt, and it all comes back to gas prices and energy.
The president will continue to effectively utilize tariffs while, again, driving down the cost of living in this country. Both things can happen at the same time. Just look at President Trump's first term as an example. When he left office, inflation was a low 1.4%. It was only driven up because the Biden administration spent money recklessly, and they drove up the cost of energy, which President Trump and his entire administration are focused on driving down.
Right. And she's absolutely right. You know, we do typically see the price of gas go down this time of year. But I think it is also important to note that all that Donald Trump is doing to keep those prices low, he's doing a lot. And that's the whole point. Trump campaigned on trying to keep the price of gases low, the price of gas low. Don't let the media and the left take away the successes of Donald Trump. And so I want to remind you what Trump has done. Because remember the polling that it's a couple hours ago now, but I was telling you that vast majority of the American people believe that Donald Trump is sticking to his promises. One of the big promises was to keep the price of gas low. And he's taking action to do that. So let's go over some of the real quick bullet points. Trump has signed executive orders to boost energy production. He reversed Joe Biden's, this is a big one for me. He reversed Biden's ban on offshore oil drilling across America. Remember, Biden had banned drilling across 625 million acres of U.S. coastal waters. Well, that is now gone. He's created the National Energy Dominance Council to maximize our resources here in America. He's deregulating the oil and gas industry, expediting the permitting process, making it easier to drill, baby, drill. And he is working to cut taxes for domestic oil producers.
Or look at the massive deregulation that this administration has slashed. In fact, according to a report from the National Economic Council, we have already saved the American people $180 billion because of the regulations that we have already slashed. And we've only been here for 52 days. So don't bet against President Trump. Anyone who watched him in his first term should know that.
Well, we know that Trump does have a love for deregulation, and right now his policy is, although I've seen different versions and different numbers, kill 2 regulations for each new regulation put in place, although I fully admit that may have been updated. I keep trying to find. I remember Donald Trump said at one point that he wanted to kill 10 regulations for each single regulation implemented, but he said that once. I don't know if that actually made it into policy or not. But the bottom line is that Donald Trump has done a lot to try to get prices down, to get the cost of gasoline down. It is looking really good. We've got jobs that are coming into this country as well. Everything the president has done since day one has been geared towards that. And as I've said 1,000 times now, we actually have a president that is saying that we could balance our budget. Can he? I don't know. But you know what? As Caroline Leavitt said, don't bet against Donald Trump. And I agree. 7:21, and we have Joan Jones in the WTN newsroom with the very latest. Joan, what's coming up at 7:30?
Well, Dan, we could have some rocky weekend weather, and we've got details ahead on how severe that could possibly be. Also, TDOT plans to close down 3 lanes of I-24. Details are straight ahead on when to expect that as well. Those stories and more coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here, 722. Friends, what could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple of $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Now, Loan Pronto, they are the leader in quickly converting your home's equity into cold, hard cash so you can pay off all those credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Now, the average homeowner, maybe you, has over $300,000 in equity. That is your money. You should use it. You can get approved in as little as a day, so act right now with no hard credit pull up front. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Online anytime at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org. 725 on WTN. Listen, you need a pole barn in your life. From my friends at Stoltzco, they are the premier pole barn builders here in the state of Tennessee. You know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco, it could increase the value of your land big time. And you can use your new pole barn from Stoltzco really as anything. You can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You can even live in your new pole barn from Stoltzco. They are flexible, and yes, they are built really well as well. Now, you can also plan ahead and build your retirement home. So call these folks at Stoltzco. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. These pole barns, they are the best in Tennessee. 615-622-5992. 615-622-5992. Check them out on the socials, and you can see examples of their fine work, Instagram and Facebook, or at their website, STOLTZCO, Stoltzco.com.
Half a century.
$728, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, as I was doing my monologue on Russia, this headline, Putin aide rejects Trump's Ukraine ceasefire proposal. And so that is what is going on. As a matter of fact, as I talked about in that monologue, Russia has made some battleground gains. So as Ukraine accepted a ceasefire deal negotiated by Donald Trump, Russia just blasted Ukraine. And so now the question for Donald Trump is, what's next? Because clearly Russia has no interest in a ceasefire. This is part of what the president said yesterday in the Oval Office.
People are going to Russia right now as we speak, and hopefully we can get a ceasefire from Russia. And if we do, I think that would be 80% of the way to getting this horrible bloodbath finished. We haven't spoken to him yet with substance, because we just found out and we just were able to get Ukraine to agree. So we're going to know very soon. I've gotten some positive messages, but a positive message means nothing.
So that is President Donald Trump. Now the ball is in Donald Trump's court. I guess now what does he do? He's got to put some pressure on Vladimir Putin. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that ceasefire deal, that proposal, rejected just a few minutes ago. 7:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Some accidents this morning. Gallatin Pike in Madison, south of Due West. An accident also blocking the left lane of eastbound lanes of 24 at the Clay Lick Road overpass. That's in Whites Creek. We've got more, and it's coming up right after the news. Well, got to keep an eye on the weather this weekend. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro telling us that it's going to get a little rocky around here starting tomorrow night, right around midnight.
2 rounds of rain and thunderstorms in track 4, as we mentioned. Those are the main threats that we are tracking, and we're getting a better picture now once again of what these severe threats are looking like. Along and west of I-65, a 3 out of 4 on that scale Friday night and into early on Saturday.
3 out of 4, pretty serious stuff there. He says you can expect thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes too. And there's also a chance that parts of the area get more than 3 inches of rainfall, and that could cause some serious flooding. Now, the extra rainfall, that could come on Saturday Saturday during that second round of storms. So you want to make sure that you're prepared now for all those things and keep it here on 99.7 WTN for the latest information. Well, a reminder that TDOT is shutting down 3 lanes on I-24 tonight to make some repairs on overhead signs. So beginning at 8 o'clock tonight, the westbound lanes of I-24 all closed down between Haywood Lane and Bell Road, and it'll stay that way until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. There will be 1 lane available, but you can just bet that it's going to be jammed up there. TDOT says it is urging everyone to plan for delays and also to find alternate routes. You know that Virginia high school track runner that hit her opponent on the head? Well,
Yes.
she's now being charged. Check this
A
out.
high school track runner accused of attacking her opponent with a baton now faces assault and battery charges. But she insists it was an accident.
I'm sorry I hit her. I didn't mean to hit her. It was intentional.
It happened during a relay race at the Virginia High School League Championships. Kayleen Tucker was passing Alayla Everett when Everett appeared to suddenly swing her baton, hitting Tucker in the back of the head, sending her to the ground. Everett says it happened because she lost her balance.
ABC's Andrea Fuji.
I used to, Joan, little known fact about me, I used to run track.
Oh, did you?
I did I guess that was the 4x200 relay or something.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
And that's literally what I used to run. I was the only white guy on the team.
Did you ever slip and hit somebody in the back of the head?
Never did.
No.
No. And, if I've watched that video a number of times, that was not an accident.
So did you see the view from behind?
No, I've not seen that one.
So there's new video out that shows what happened from behind, and you can clearly see this girl take that baton and intentionally smash it on the girl's head.
Well, and she didn't apologize. The coach didn't apologize.
Nope. But she did cry to the press and say, nobody's thinking of my feelings.
She did.
Yeah.
I read that yesterday. I was like, oh my God.
Crazy.
Anyway, so yeah, she should be, I agree, she should be charged.
No court date yet, but when it happens, we'll let you know what happens in court. So we're looking at futures this morning and things not looking so good. Once again, we've got the Dow futures down 128, NASDAQ futures losing 115, and the S&P futures are minus 22. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather still to come. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Think of Joan, Dan Mandis here. Now listen, when I first started thinking about lens replacement to treat my cataracts, I was really nervous. I had all kinds of concerns running through my head. This is why it took me so long to do it, because I had a lot of concerns. I was worried about whether or not it would be painful, how long would the downtime be, because I hate taking time off work. I've also heard a lot of myths like you'll still need glasses or the results are not permanent. But Dr. Horn at Vision for Life, he sat me down and he took the time, had to be like 40 minutes, to answer all of my questions and addressed all of those common myths. Now, he explained that with him, it is a quick 5-minute procedure. Most patients feel little to no discomfort. Recovery times are fast, and many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. But really what stood out to me was that personalized care. Dr. Horn tailored a plan specific to my needs and my goals. Now, if you want vision correction surgery, you've got to call them at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. You can always find them online. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at visionforlife.com. .35 on WTN, and Brentwood Jewelry is the official jewelry store of my home. I got to tell you, I love Brentwood Jewelry. They've got great jewelry, and they're great Americans as well. But listen, if you're getting ready to propose, pop the question, Let Brentwood Jewelry help you take the stress out of selecting the perfect engagement ring. They can help you find a beautiful ring in your ideal budget at Brentwood Jewelry. Browse their incredible selection of one-of-a-kind rings, or you can talk with their custom design specialists to create a stunning ring as remarkable as your loved one. Now, do you know this? I didn't know this. Only 1 in 4 men involves their partner when purchasing an engagement ring. But nearly a third of women say they would prefer to help pick out that ring. Let Brentwood Jewelry help you make that all-important decision. Check them out, BrentwoodJewelry.com. They're located at 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com.
Okay, the eastbound lanes of 24 in Pleasant View. We've got an accident eastbound past the McMahon Hollow Road overpass. Also an accident in Whites Creek eastbound side of 24 at the Clay Lick Road overpass. And then in Jolton on Whites Creek Pike north of Jackman Road. That's another accident seen this morning. And 24, the westbound lanes past Briley Parkway South. That's a crash and the left shoulder in that spot is blocked off. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
737, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Got a lot to get to in this segment. So the headline talking about Russia and how they have now dismissed the ceasefire. This is a headline, and it says Zelensky, Kyiv will not cede territory, wants a strong U.S. response if Russia rejects the ceasefire. So a super texter said the reason why you've got Putin and Russia deciding that they will not accept the ceasefire is because Zelensky is out there saying that he will not cede any territory. So they're not going to accept the ceasefire. Well, here's the thing, is that when they say they are willing to sit down and talk, and that means that they're willing to make some concessions, at least to me, well, then that means that Russia should also sit down at the table to see where Zelensky will go, how far Zelensky will go, what can we do as far as a mineral deal. That's the whole point. I mean, of course, Zelensky is going to say that. Now, Zelensky, and he's been saying that literally all along. But when he said that he is willing to accept the ceasefire, when he said that he is willing to sit down and negotiate, then obviously it seems to me like he is willing to make some concessions. And so Russia coming back and saying, well, you know what? We're not going to sit down. We're not going to accept the ceasefire. That tells you that Russia simply is not willing to negotiate. And so now it's up to Donald Trump. So now what does the president do? Does he start going really hard and heavy on sanctions and punitive, hard-hitting sanctions? Do we give more money and more weaponry to Ukraine so that we can perhaps get this thing over with now and very quickly? Or do we do something else? Do we, and I would not recommend this, but do we join in the actual military fight? And again, I say no. Here's the question. How does Donald Trump react to Vladimir Putin? Because we all saw what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump did to Zelensky when he was, mouthing off in that White House meeting. So now the question is, what does Trump say about Putin? If the stories are true that Putin and his regime there, they've decided to dismiss this 30-day ceasefire so that they could hammer out some sort of a negotiation. So what should Donald Trump's response be? The world really is awaiting Trump's response. I'm not really surprised. To be honest, I'm not really surprised that was the response of Vladimir Putin, if indeed the case. I don't even know. Joan, do we even know if Trump's team had landed in Moscow yet?
I don't believe they had.
So they're landing and finding out that Putin has already dismissed the deal. So I don't know. Then do you just turn right around and go home, or do you try to have the meeting anyway? And remember, last night when it was announced, of course, last couple of days that Ukraine had accepted that ceasefire, well, then the answer was from Vladimir Putin is to escalate the bombing. And he was able to make some battleground gains last night, as a matter of fact. And he is right now, Vladimir Putin is wearing camo, and he is checking out and, I guess, touring the land that Russia took over last night. So this situation between Russia and Ukraine, it is escalating. And now, again, the ball is in Donald Trump's court.
Steve Witkoff, by the way, is on the ground in Russia.
Okay.
But Vladimir Putin went to Kursk, which is the region that he just tried to take over and continues bombing. Putin just went to Kursk to try to rally the troops to claim that region.
So that is a slap in the face of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
That is what that is. So now Trump's got to do something. You know what's going on is Donald Trump is very aggressive, and I like that about Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is very aggressive. He's very proud, and he doesn't tolerate BS. And so what Vladimir Putin just did by going to Kursk and not being there to meet with or speak to Steve Witkoff?
Witkoff, yeah.
Witkoff. So that is a slap in the face of the United States. That is a slap in the face of Donald Trump. So now Trump has to respond, and he's got to respond not like Joe Biden. Because remember, Joe Biden was weak. He was weak, and his weak sanctions emboldened Putin to go into Ukraine in the first place. So now this is a big foreign policy test for Donald Trump. Because he's got to respond with aggression, and he's got to respond with anger, and he's got to say something and do something that will actually make an impact. And so we'll see as this whole thing continues to develop in Moscow. We'll see where this whole thing goes from here. But if you missed the news, a lot of folks are reporting now that Vladimir Putin, an aide to Putin, has rejected Donald Trump's Ukraine ceasefire proposal. The reason for that, I'm not sure. Super Texter said it was because they knew that Zelensky is out there saying that he will not cede any land, although it is my contention that with Zelensky simply agreeing to sit down, and that is an indication that he'd be willing to make some concessions. So there's just a lot going on in that storyline, and we'll continue to keep you updated as the news continues to develop here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did you hear what Donald Trump said yesterday about Democrats? I love this, and I'm going to be able to play it coming up after the traffic because it requires some longer commentary. But basically, the president said that the Democrats have lost their way, and I love that because right now, if you go online today and you go anywhere on social media, that is a big part of the discussion this morning, is that the Democrats have lost their way. I mean, right now, they are going to shut down the government. It will be on the Democrats to shut down the government. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the media plays this, how they cover this, about how the Democrats in both the House and the Senate will respond to all of this, because the one voice of reason within the Democrat Party is John Fetterman, who is going to vote for Donald Trump. But if Chuck Schumer, he has come out, the Senate minority leader, he's come out and he said, there's no way that we are going to support this bill, this continuing resolution. They are going to shut down the government. Now, I know that a lot of you folks out there, you're listening, and you have said many times, just shut down the government, just shut down the government. And, perhaps somebody like me who has in the past said, you know what, screw it, shut down the government, whatever. Now that Donald Trump is in power, now that Donald Trump is in the White House, and now that the Republicans control the Senate and the House of Representatives, I'm saying don't shut down the government. I'm going to explain the difference coming up, and I've got a whole bunch of audio to play as well. It is 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
59 degrees. As Briley Parkway South, accident moves to the left shoulder. Whites Creek, 24 eastbound at the Clay Lick Road overpass. Accident in the left lane. Stop and go traffic from Whites Creek Pike. And Jolton, Whites Creek Pike, an accident north of Jackman Road. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes, high of 76 today and partly cloudy. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So there is a lot going on this morning. But when the Democrats are willing to shut down the government, the reason why I say that it's the wrong time to shut down the government is because Donald Trump does have a plan. It's a multifaceted plan to make our government, and we've already seen it, right? We've already seen that the president is trying to make the government and is making the government more efficient. He's talking about making cuts. He's talking about making massive cuts. And for the Democrats, they don't like the fact that this would be seen as a victory for Donald Trump. And I do understand that they're voting to raise the debt cap, the ceiling. But here's the thing. Trump is looking for ultimately ways to save money, but he needs the room to do it. And so the Democrats, they're going to be the party that shuts down the government, and they're going to have to deal with that going into the midterm elections. Story after story shows this morning that their party is in absolute disarray, and there's a lot of contempt. You know, when Chuck Schumer comes out and he says there's no way that we're going to support anything that Donald Trump does with this continuing resolution and this budget, we'll shut down the government. Well, that's really resonating with the Democrats that are out there on the street, and not in a good way.
And if they would work half as hard as we do, I would have no complaints.
Do you feel as though Democrats are adequately representing you right now?
I don't. I don't think they're matching my energy. We're watching the Constitution burn. We're watching the country that we love be systematically dismantled, and they're not angry enough about it.
So this is a profile on CNN where, you know, they're speaking to this woman. She's been trying to rally her local Democrats. And, you know, she says, this just isn't working. And the big problem, one of the big problems, is because the Democrats are weak. And Trump derangement syndrome is not a policy. And she's wearing a shirt. I mentioned this earlier. She's wearing a shirt in this profile piece, and the sweatshirt says, as she's canvassing the neighborhood, read banned books. That's what her sweatshirt says. Read banned books, which epitomizes their issue. Can I ask a question? We got rampant illegal immigration that Donald Trump is trying to fix. We're on the brink of World War III. We're trying to fix the economy. We've got all of these things that are going on. Is anybody really talking about this notion of reading banned books? I'm air quoting, that Republicans are supposedly banning, which, by the way, they're not. You can get any darn book you want, either in a bookstore, you can get it on Amazon, whatever. So nobody is banning books. I'll save that long argument for another day, but that just tells you that their priorities and their message, even at the street level, even at the canvassing level, it's not on the same page as where the American people are.
But now, she's among the nearly three-quarters of Democrats across the country who want to see Democrats in Congress do more to oppose the Trump agenda. In nearby Clarion County, Callie McLaughlin is equally frustrated.
We're the ones that put them in office, right? We're kind of responsible for them. That's who we should be going after.
Right, and here's the deal. The Democrats aren't doing it. The Democrats aren't, as a lot of Democrats have said, they're not meeting the moment. They're making lame fighting videos and they're singing stupid 60s songs and so forth. And I mean, I encourage them to keep doing what they're doing, but they are the exact opposite of where the American people are. And all you got to do is look at the polls, because the polls will show you that the Democrats continuing to engage in Trump derangement syndrome and not speaking at all with the president is the exact opposite of what the polls are telling them to do. We've got details on that and a whole lot more straight ahead. 7:50. And Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up at 8?
Well, Dan, ready to get battered by some heavy storms? That is what our weekend is going to look like. We'll tell you about it coming up. Also, there's a measure of the economy that was just released this morning, and it's pointing to some good things. We've got those stories and more coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, 7:51. And Dan Mandis here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. Listen, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years. I've never felt better. I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago. I was a mess physically. I went through some spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really did help a lot. Every once in a while, I need a bit of an adjustment. Dr. Mitch does indeed fix me right up. Now, right now, a great deal. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States. 47% off spinal decompression therapy. That's right. You call them up, 615-246-5009. You mention my name. You mention WTN. You get the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th president, 47% off spinal decompression. You can find them online. It's painisbad.com. $7:54, man, we got some crazy weather coming. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get insane, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. Again, we got really bad weather, nasty weather coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Power outages are a possibility. Check out my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. They do feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark. Financing is available as well. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Find them online at generatorsupercenterofnashville.com. 7:58, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I mean, listen, there's no surprise. Doesn't take a political genius like James Carville to see that the Democrats, they are in trouble. They are flailing, and they don't know what to do, and they're about to make our day for the midterm elections and shut down the government. Meantime, you've got all of this polling that is out there here in the last week. Rasmussen shows that 51% of likely U.S. voters still approve of Donald Trump's job performance. 47% disapprove. We also had a CBS poll. 70% of the American people agree that Donald Trump is keeping those promises. 53% approve of Donald Trump's performance. 51% approve of Elon Musk and Doge, and they say that he should have some influence over our economy, and it goes on and on and on. Top words to describe Donald Trump: 69% said the president is tough, 63% energetic, 60% focused, and 58% say he is effective, and they approve of his deportation plans and a whole lot more. And we have a whole lot more. Straight ahead, it is Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The major roads look okay heading in, but we do have a crash on Whites Creek Pike in Joelton. This is north of Jackman Road and involves some injuries. In the news, weather forecasters say they've got high confidence that we're going to have severe weather over the weekend. Here's Stefano DiPietro from Channel 4 telling us it'll begin tomorrow night, late in the night.
Friday night through the day Saturday, 2 rounds of showers and thunderstorms, and everything is on the table. Heavy rainfall, damaging wind gusts, maybe some hail, even a few isolated tornadoes through Friday night and into Saturday.
Straight line winds are also on the table. You want to stay weather alert all weekend long. Sunday looks pretty nice after it's all out of here. Some new developments in the legal fight over Columbia University grad student from Syria who the Trump administration wants to deport. Mahmoud Khalid is accused of helping a terrorist organization, Hamas, by organizing anti-Israel protests that terrorized Jewish students at the school. The government and defense attorneys presented arguments in court in New York yesterday over where that case can be heard.
The judge is just now beginning to weigh Khalil's bid for freedom, and his attorneys told the judge these are extraordinary circumstances. The lawyers insisted that he was identified, targeted, and detained because of his advocacy for the Palestinians in demonstrations against Israel that took over Columbia University's campus last spring.
ABC's Darren Katursky. Now, college basketball fans from across the country are descending on Music City. They're here for the SEC, what is called the most intriguing tournament before the NCAA tournament, the NCAA tournament that begins with all the madness. Well, Metro Nashville police are saying they're on it with officers both inside and outside Bridgestone Stadium to keep everyone safe.
But this year we feel safe because we see all the police everywhere. We see the police presence. We see roads blocked off, so you know you're safe. So we definitely feel safe.
And those ladies speaking to Channel 4 there, you may have to dodge more pedal taverns than usual this weekend as well. Money news brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Some good news on the economy this morning. A measure of wholesale prices last month shows they were flat last month, so no increase as was expected. There's also some hope for the spring housing market, says ABC's Jim Ryan.
Signs of life in the housing market. More people are applying for home loans. With mortgage rates dropping for a 6th week in a row, the Mortgage Bankers Association says applications are running more than 30% above this time last year.
Still, stock futures are down. We've got Dow futures minus 60 right now. NASDAQ futures minus 75. S&P futures, they're down 11. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still working the crash and jolt in. It's on Whites Creek Pike north of Jackman Road, and that one involves some injuries. The major roadways just with normal volumes at this point. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.805, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Feels like I'm early. Did Joan jip us on the news?
I didn't, no.
What happened?
Nothing.
Okay.
Hey, I do have a little bit of breaking news for you.
Yes.
Where did it go? So the Wall Street Journal? No, this would be from, I know, I just said that to you, and of course it goes away. But I think it was the New York Times is reporting. Here it is, that Pete Buttigieg is said to have decided he is not going to run for Senate in Michigan, and that means it's opening the door for
presidential run.
A presidential bid.
All right. We'll have to see what happens with Mayor Pete.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in a debate with J.D. Vance.
Oh, my goodness. I'd pay for that.
Yeah. I think, old Mayor Pete, I just don't think his reign as transportation secretary, I don't think he was that good. I don't think he really did much of anything. But, they're already going to be fawning, he's going to be the first gay president. I mean,
yeah.
Actually, I called this a while ago.
You did.
Right? Okay, you remember.
I think I heard you say it.
Yeah, it was like the Democrats, the only thing they have to run on these days is everything has to be the first, right?
Yeah.
So it's like Kamala Harris was going to be the first black female president that was, ended in train wreck. Now it's going to be Pete Buttigieg, the first openly gay president he could be. And that's all they have to run on.
It's
they
so
don't have
funny.
anything to run on as far as accomplishments go.
When I was back in Washington, D.C., you know that the lieutenant governor of Virginia is Winston Sears.
She's awesome.
Isn't she?
Yep.
Do you know what many in the media in Washington, D.C. wouldn't say?
What's that?
That she was the first black lieutenant governor, first black female lieutenant governor.
They wouldn't say that?
No, they were reluctant to. If they did, it was like a one and done. But they weren't fawning over the fact that the first black female lieutenant governor was seated in Virginia.
Well, because she was, I believe, very pro-conservative, Donald Trump, pro-Donald Trump and all that. So, and she's one heck of an interview. So I was a big fan of Winston Sears.
She's amazing. Yep.
All right. Winsome.
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 Winsome. Winsome.
By the way, do you remember KGB when we did the Daily Dan poll? Who won? Remember we did the poll as far as would you rather see us pay off the national debt or would you like to see us all get a $5,000 Doge dividend? And I believe that the majority of people wanted us to pay off the debt.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, you people are going to be happy. Headline from the Daily Mail. Major update on the $5,000 Doge dividend. Checks to repay Americans for government waste. It looks like that is not going to happen. Americans hoping to receive money back from Doge's efforts to cut government waste should not expect a check anytime soon, if at all, as billionaire Elon Musk's Doge team seeks to slash government spending. President Trump signaled some of the money saved could be returned to taxpayers, but despite Musk's team claiming it has saved roughly $105 billion or more than $650 a taxpayer, multiple reports have shown the receipts so far, they say, do not add up. So we'll have to see what it looks like. This is the Daily Mail reporting. Now, the latest fiscal reports indicate the anticipated savings have not materialized, they say, as Congress looks to pass more spending measures to avoid a government shutdown. According to the latest monthly report by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, The U.S. deficit grew in the first 5 months of the fiscal year from October through February over the same period as last year. But, I mean, a lot of that spending was already done, was already budgeted for, was already allotted through Congress and so forth. They say the U.S. borrowed $1.1 trillion in the first 5 months of the 2025 fiscal year. And I don't want to bury you in a bunch of financial stuff, but bottom line is that they're saying that it looks like we will not be getting any of those Doge dividends. We'll have to ultimately wait and see what happens. There's a lot here. I mean, there's a lot of spending that we're doing. There's a lot that we're trying to claw back. But remember what I said when this whole thing started. We're going to see savings moving forward. It's not about, if you've got a bunch of money that has already been, approved, budgeted by Congress, and it's out the door, we're trying to claw some of that back, especially Lee Zeldin through the EPA. But bottom line is, a lot of that money has already been spent, or it's earmarked to have checks written to the people that did the work. So the big part of Doge, at least for me, is number one, saving money moving forward. That's number one. And number two, making sure that our money is well spent. For example, one of the things in the continuing resolution, one of the things that Donald Trump wants to do is he wants to empower and embolden and, bring ICE to where it needs to be to continue to deport all of those illegal aliens. So, yeah, I would rather, if our spending is going to be exactly the same, they're saying they wanted to go back to 2019 levels, whatever. But if our spending remains exactly the same, okay. But at least I want our money to be spent on things that benefit America and benefit Americans. So if, for example, we're not saving a bunch of money because of Doge, okay, but you're not looking at the entire picture. I would rather spend $20 million on ICE agents and border wall than producing Sesame Street in Iraq. You know what I mean? So that's my point. My point is we expose the Democrats for what they are and what they've spent the money on. And if we save money, great. I want us to save money. I want us to figure out a way to start paying down our national debt. That is a huge priority. Trump's got to figure it out. And I believe that he is the guy that can figure it out because at the very least, he's talking about it. We'll have to wait and see what happens. By the way, our daily Dan poll, I've been amiss this morning in not promoting it too much. Watch us, like us, subscribe to the YouTube page, and watch the radio show. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, 997WTN.com, and also on X. And more and more people watching every day. Thank you. You go to YouTube. That's where I like you to watch. And you can take the Daily Dan poll. Now, earlier, we were talking about this Mahmoud Khalil, and this is a conversation that has been going on across America. And the question is, should he be deported? And I know amongst our very conservative audience, I think most people would say absolutely he should be deported. But KGB has the numbers in front of him. And KGB, what are the numbers?
93% to yes, deport him.
We had Jonathan Fahey on. Jonathan Fahey, he was on earlier, former acting director of ICE. And he said that absolutely he should be deported. And, that's the big question because this guy, he's he's got a green card. So the question is, can we deport somebody of his immigration status? Well, Senator Marsha Blackburn, she took to the Senate floor and she had a lot to say about this guy.
And this was a ringleader for Colombia's anti-Israel encampment. As I said, a former student. At these demonstrations, pro-Hamas activists spat on Jewish students. They chanted, "F the Jews," and they held signs next to Jewish students claiming that they would be Hamas's next target.
All right, so if that is true, this guy is the ringleader of all of these protests, and I was speaking with Jonathan Fahey earlier. Can we make sure that we podcast that? Jonathan was saying that, oh, yeah, of course we can deport somebody who is doing all that stuff, even if they do have a green card. So I did some research, and yes, green card holders can be deported, but the government has the burden to prove that this person is, as they say, deportable. Grounds for deportation can range from being convicted of a range of crimes, from murder, assault, burglary to tax evasion, domestic violence, illegal firearms possession, etc. But they can also be expelled for providing, and to me, this is the relevant part, they can be expelled for providing material support to a terrorist group, in which case the government does not need a criminal conviction to bring the deportation charges. And this guy, I mean, Marsha Blackburn says it, his background is all about working with terrorist organizations.
In many ways, Khalil was the perfect leader for this anti-Semitic pro-terror movement. What we know is this: before he enrolled at Columbia University,
wait for it,
he allegedly served as a political affairs officer for UNRWA. That is right, the UN Relief and Works Agency there in Gaza.
Yep, and they are, and if you've listened to me for any length of time, you know that I've been screaming about these people for a long time. Big-time Hamas supporting organization in Gaza. They helped fund them. They helped hide them. They protect them. They support them. They hide their weapons. And by the way, they hide those weapons underneath schools. They hide those weapons underneath hospitals. And overall, they do help to organize attacks on Israel.
Now, this is the same UNRWA that we now know indoctrinated Palestinian children to hate the Jews, stored Hamas's weapons in its facilities in Gaza. They actually put ammunition and weapons in the schools, the UN schools there in Gaza.
Yep. So the big question now is, how would they possibly deport him? Because that is part of the conversation now. By the way, he also has a wife that is pregnant. We'll get into more of this straight ahead. It's time to check the roads on WTN.
Free. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes today, it's going to be dicey in the days ahead, but at least for today, a high of 76, partly cloudy as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So this Mahmoud Khalil, I mean, you're listening to Senator Marsha Blackburn. She's got the goods on this dude. He was the ringleader out there in Columbia University. I spoke about this earlier, and I got all kinds of videos from folks showing me what his organization did to Columbia University. And there was a lot of vandalism. There was a lot of trespassing as well. So theoretically, I mean, if they chose to bring charges against this guy, they could probably get a conviction. That's number one. But number two, they've got this guy on actually helping Hamas before and after their attack on Israel that killed, 1,200, 1,300 people. It is horrifying. And so I love how you got now the Democrats. This is, once again, their cause celeb, right? So they're not going to stand and applaud and support a 13-year-old who is battling cancer. They're not going to support a kid with a long, long history of law enforcement in his family, and he wants to be law enforcement. They're not going to applaud that. They're not going to show empathy and sympathy and support for the parents of women who have been killed, the teenage girls who have been killed by Joe Biden's illegal aliens. They're going to sit and not show support for those people during Donald Trump's speech the other night. But they will support this guy who is very supportive of Hamas. Because you've got the Democrats who are all about this guy, and they're fighting tooth and nail to make sure that this guy doesn't get deported when, as I just told you, the United States government has every right to deport him.
There is no reason why someone like this should be allowed in our country to support terrorism and to promote anti-Jewish bigotry. That's why Secretary Rubio is intending to deport Khalil, which this administration has the full authority to do under our federal immigration laws.
All right, so, and that is the sticking point there, because there's some disagreement amongst conservative circles on this. So you've got some that say, well, no, this was nothing but freedom of speech. You've got me, and in my opinion, is that as I do my research on deporting green card holders, it does look to me like if they have been showing material support for terrorist organizations, then absolutely. And Marsha Blackburn says, we have the opportunity and we do have the right and every right to kick this guy out. And when you look at what his organization did at Columbia University, it's the same deal. They deserve, Columbia University and the law enforcement there, they had to deal with these folks. They destroyed some parts of the university. They wouldn't leave. They spit on Jewish students. They were intimidating Jewish students. They were threatening Jewish students. And a lot of those are criminal. That is criminal behavior. And yes, if he was the ringleader, then he needs to go.
As we work to deport Hamas affiliates, my bipartisan No Immigration Benefits for Hamas Terrorist Act would block any migrant tied to Hamas from entering our country. And my No Flight for Terrorists Act would put anyone on the no-fly list if they have called for violence against the Jewish people or pledged allegiance to a foreign terrorist organization.
All right, it is 8:21 on Nashville's Morning News. So we'll keep you updated on this story throughout the day right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 8:21. Joan Jones has the news at 8:30. Hello, Joan.
Well, hello, Dan. It is a double whammy weather weekend. We'll get you updated on those storms that are headed our way starting tomorrow night. Also, President Trump just hit back harder against the EU. We'll tell you what he did. Those stories coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Find live streaming and on-demand audio all on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
8:21, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Listen, that pre-summer stress is starting to kick in. You know, the warmer that it gets, the more you start thinking about swimming pools, vacations, cruises, getting into that bathing suit. How confident are you that you're ready to slide into that bathing suit? Well, listen, if you need help like so many of us do, check out my friends at Contours of Cool Springs. They are experts in red light technology. They can help you lose 2 inches of fat in that first session, or it is free. Now, I did this, my pants noticeably looser. And by the way, if not, that session is free. Now, you do know the Contours in Cool Springs, it is the only place in Tennessee with this cutting-edge red light technology. Folks come in from everywhere, all around, because what Contours offers is unique and effective. See how it works at their website, contoursllc.com. Now, right now, Contours is offering you a great deal. $99 belly buster special to the first 10 callers. Now, that is normally a $600 value. Right now, for the first 10 callers, $99. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. Find them online. It is contoursllc.com. That's contoursllc.com. 825, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Listen, every night at homework time, I thank the Lord for Xfinity Internet. Now, in my house, we can stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed we need, and you can too. You know, I do a lot of shows at home. Amy's always working at home. We do have Riker as well, all of his gaming, all of his homework as well. Our internet is busy, and it is reliable as all get out as well. Homework and our jobs, they don't wait for the internet to work. We need a reliable connection, and you do too. Now, I've relied on Xfinity for years and years. And by the way, if there are issues, Xfinity does have 24/7 customer service here for you whenever you need it with in-home Wi-Fi support. By the way, if you're on the go, you can stay connected with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. So get the best Wi-Fi for your life, whether it's doing homework with the kids or work for the paycheck. Rock-solid internet is only a phone call away with Xfinity. To get started, call them 1-800-XFINITY. That's 1-800-XFINITY, online, xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details.
Need a trusted partner?
.828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. So you reported this, Joan. Trump blistering the European Union.
Oh, come on. You're going to do my story. This is. Can you hear Chris laughing? Because Chris does it to me all the time.
Oh, is this your lead story?
Go ahead. Tell me what the story is.
Donald Trump posting the European Union, one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States, has just put a nasty 50% tariff on whiskey. He says if this tariff is not removed immediately, the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries. He says this will be great for the wine and champagne businesses here in the U.S.
Yes, thank you. That was my story.
You're welcome. Now you can do another story.
Well, you guys kill me, but I love that we all share stories.
See, the problem is it's too late in the 25 seconds that she has to come up with another story. You know, Joan, if you're a real professional,
don't.
Of course, if I was a real professional, I wouldn't have stolen your story. Anyway, got a lot more straight ahead, including the crisscross, and that is coming up next on WTN.
Good morning, 8:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Watch it this morning in Joelton on Whites Creek Pike north of Jackman Road. It is closed this morning, and that's because of a crash that occurred just a while ago. It appears that they're closed it down now while they clear that away. Again, it's in Joelton, Whites Creek Pike north of Jackman Road, now closed due to a crash. We are on alert for some bad weather over the weekend. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro telling us that things will start to heat up for us while we're sleeping on Friday night.
That should be right around, if not just after midnight. Right along the I-65 corridor should happen just before we get to sunrise on Saturday morning, and then continuing east of I-65 as we head through the late morning and into the early part of the afternoon.
Now, the Friday night risk of severe storms is about a 3 out of 5 for parts west of I-65. It's a little lesser as you make your way into Middle Tennessee. But that risk is not over yet. There's more to come after that.
At the same time, there's another storm system developing down to our south. So by the late stages of our morning on Saturday, more showers and storms start to fire up. And this is really where the bulk of our heavy rainfall will come from. Saturday afternoon through the evening, into the early stages of the overnight. There's really no way around this. This is not only going to be a drencher, but bring us yet another round of strong to severe thunderstorms, which will eventually taper off through Saturday night.
And the risk level for Saturday, also a 3 out of 5 for most areas in Middle Tennessee. Well, you know how they say that when you hit Donald Trump, he hits back harder? Well, this morning, the president is threatening to impose a 200% tariff on alcoholic beverages from the European Union unless the EU rescinds that 50% tariff that they imposed on U.S. whiskey yesterday. In a Truth Social post, you may have heard this story before. In a Truth Social post, President Trump says the 200% tariff will apply to wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU countries, adding it'll be great for wine and champagne businesses here in the U.S. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Well, taking a look at Wall Street here just after the Wall Street Open, and it looks like the Dow Jones Industrials have opened 96 points lower. We've got NASDAQ down 41 and the S&P 500 index opening 10 points lower. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it. 8:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Spring and summer are rapidly approaching. What do you have planned? Whether it's a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding at your home. Maybe you've got a big Easter event coming up, maybe a graduation. But whatever you have planned, my friends at Nashville Tent and Awning, they can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere on your property or in a park, whatever. Now, they've been around since 1884. They are a Nashville institution. They've worked with the likes of the Titans, Vanderbilt, Grand Ole Opry as well. This is a great company. Now, they are one of the top companies in Nashville, and I want you to think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so that you can enjoy it even more as the next couple of months start to heat up. Now, if you have an event for work coming up, they can also help you there as well with a tent or enclosure. And by the way, they've also got awnings for any style of building that'll improve the look and feel of your home or office. So what I want you to do, go get some visuals and check it all out at their website, ntaco.com. ntaco.com, or you can call them, tell them I told you to reach out, 615-329-3701, 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Solid craftsmanship built to last since 1884. Nashville Tent and Awning. .34, Nashville's Morning News. Spring cleaning time is here, and Zero Res is offering a great way for you to get your carpets clean and save some money. Now, I've been using Zero Res for years because they do not use harsh chemicals and soaps, just powered water, and that means pure safety for your family and your pets. So I want you to think about not only the last few months, but also what's coming this weekend. We've had a lot of snow. We've had a lot of rain. We're getting a lot of rain. And that, of course, is all tracked into the house in the form of dirt and grime and bacteria. Zero Res is the carpet cleaning company that can safely get your carpets clean. Now, not only does Zero Res have the highest approval rating possible from the Carpet and Rug Institute, Zero Res is the rated #1 cleaning system in the nation by an independent testing laboratory. When they clean, there's nothing left behind. And by the way, they've also got great reviews on Google and Facebook and from the Mandis family as well. Now, right now, a great deal for the month of March. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $109. Again, 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for $109, 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376, ZeroResNashville.com.
We have a closure this morning. It's in Joelton on Whites Creek Pike. It's north of Jackman Road. It is a crash that occurred earlier this morning. Looks like they may be cleaning it up. Hope Gardens near Jefferson Street near 12th Avenue North. That is an accident involving an injury as well. Now, if you're heading eastbound side of 24 in Laverne, there is a crash this morning at the on-ramp from Old Hickory Boulevard south. That's exit 62. And paving work going on this morning in Franklin, Lewisburg Avenue between Mack Hatcher Boulevard and South Margin Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.837, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, Chris and I learned so much about each other, Joan.
We do.
Yeah?
I just learned that Chris' hand is anal about something.
Whoa.
We're going to talk about that. What? No, he's really passionate about something.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about that coming up. Joan Jones is here. Hello, Joan.
Hi.
KGB is here as well.
I am present.
And apparently, we're going to cover Sockgate.
Yep, we are.
Now, I saw this headline. I'm glad that Chris is going to do this because I chose not to do this. It just wasn't in my show prep today. So go ahead, fire away.
J.D. Vance got caught wearing fun socks yesterday in the Oval Office.
All right, so I don't know if you've heard this audio, but there's a big group of people. J.D. Vance is, I guess, sitting there, and his pants are hiked up because he's sitting down, exposing what kind of socks?
They are white socks with shamrocks all over them because the Irish Prime Minister was in town.
Yeah, so this is...
Interesting. Go ahead. Are you going to retaliate against me? And by the way, I have to speak of inflation. I love these socks. What's with these socks?
It's in honor of the T-shirts.
I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm...
Wow. That's funny. President Trump says he's trying to stay focused, but he can't because of JD's socks.
Just call them out like that.
Is it acceptable for a grown man in a business setting to be wearing fun socks?
And I think it's a violation of the Hatch Act. Because everything is a violation of the Hatch Act.
Yes, absolutely. I do believe, by the way, that it is acceptable, especially if you've got the Irish Prime Minister there, that he can wear.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
What?
I think in that setting you need grown man socks. If you're going to an event, if you're doing like a donuts with dad at the preschool, yeah, wear your Super Mario socks and have a good time. If you're trying to close a big business deal or you got big clients in town, no, you don't do the fun socks.
But he's wearing socks to honor the Irish Prime Minister.
I think that the socks stereotype Ireland.
Oh my gosh, Chris. This is a non-traditional.
I think it was rude and ignorant.
This is a non-traditional administration.
Wow.
And
Chris is becoming liberal before our eyes.
I thought the green tie was nice enough of an ode. But then the socks went overboard.
The socks went overboard? Okay.
It says the guy wearing, a T-shirt and...
Don't judge me.
Chris is going to have like a protest outside the Capitol building or something.
I have normal socks on, though.
Do you know what I've noticed about... Okay, can we do this?
Let's do it.
So I've noticed a few things, a trend. Number one is the younger generation, they don't care about matching socks. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I care about matching socks.
Number two, and I've noticed this, and I don't know why, but it triggers me. Grown arse men walking around in public in pajamas.
Yeah, don't you see them all the time at the Walmart? I don't know why the Walmart attracts people in their pajamas.
Dude,
but
it's not just
it
Walmart.
does.
It's at Target.
Target, yeah.
It's everywhere I go. I see grown men in pajamas, and it's like...
Grown women. Don't
dude.
forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll defend the pajama crowd at the grocery store.
Will you?
You got 4 little kids at home, and you need one thing from the store. I don't have time to go get proper.
Sweats.
Yeah.
Sweats are a little more proper than
Sweats
pajamas.
are more appropriate.
I wear my sweats.
Would you? Okay.
Unless they have shamrocks on it, apparently, then Chris, that crosses the line
Shamrocks
for Chris.
they're open and you're eligible to wear them. Not when you're meeting with like big time. I keep saying clients because I'm thinking from a business aspect. If you're meeting with a big time client or a big time, business meeting, no, you don't wear the goofy socks.
So I don't understand though why grown men can't wear even like sweatpants or like athleisure. You know what athleisure is?
Yeah.
Athleisure. Why can't they do that? But they're just, and I don't know if this is a change. And I'm going to focus on guys because I'm a guy. So
it's a safer route.
It's a safer route. So I guess my question is, what has happened to men where they feel like it's appropriate to, and I'm as libertarian as they come. You wear what you want to wear, folks, but come on.
We could go down this road and we could just say what's happened to society. Do you ever go look at an airplane in the 60s and 70s?
Yeah,
How
right.
dolled up everybody would get.
A Major League Baseball game.
Yes.
Yep.
They would wear, people always talk about that.
Are you saying
Sunday
I can no longer wear my FBI female body inspector T-shirt out in public?
No,
you shouldn't have.
It's my brother's
started.
for the record, but
yeah.
Shouldn't have started.
Yeah, so I don't, as I said, I don't know what's happened to the males in our society. But come on.
They've turned into betas.
They have.
My favorite is the matching pajamas with the girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
It's embarrassing.
Well, that's almost cute.
It's not, Joan.
Come on.
Okay, what about the longevity of the relationship? What if they're married and the wife gives her husband that as a gift? I feel like if the wife gives you that, you have to wear it for at least a day.
In public?
I don't know about public. I mean, just like on Christmas
morning.
morning.
Is in public.
You hide it. You don't let it be posted online. You get out of there quick. It's like Ralphie in the pink bunny pajamas.
It really
you do
depends.
it once. You say you did it, and then you burn them.
Have you ever, Joan, you've been married a long time. I've been with Amy for 7 years. For her, she feels like 30, but whatever. So, but have you ever worn...
Wait, your relationship is you have people years and Amy has dog years?
Yeah. She does. It's like, I've been with you for 7 years, but man, it feels like a lot longer than that.
Times it by 7.
Yeah, when it's 30, then it feels like 70.
Yeah, it's like Dan years. Anyway, whatever. So
that's hilarious.
Love you, hon.
But you ever wear like a matching shirt where like you both have matching shirts?
Yeah.
No.
No? Do you never have? How am I not surprised? You don't have a romantic bone in your body.
I sure do, but it has nothing to do with matching clothes.
If Virginia gave you one, would you wear it for her?
No. I've actually denied it before.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Firm denial.
How do you have 4 kids?
Yeah, right?
Because you don't have
I could tell you off the air.
Has she ever put you in the doghouse for that? Like just straight up denying that?
No. My wife loves me. And I always tell her, you know what you signed up for.
It's in the contract.
You agreed to this. And I'd also like I'd like to let the jury know I have improved since then. So it's getting better.
Okay.
Where were you at the beginning?
I was rough. I was rough around the edges.
When Amy and I got married, she got us shirts that said, one said just and the other one said married. And
Aww,
they were very cute.
cute.
So I did wear the just married matching shirts.
What about the shirt?
I would have looked at my wife. I would have been like, "That's gay. I can't do it."
Should I hit the dump button?
Just so we're clear, I was headed on my honeymoon and I wanted a good one. I'm just saying.
So what if the shirt is like, if Lost looked for Jan, or like your wife's Amy, and you wore the shirt, or she wore the shirt that says "I'm Amy"? I like those shirts. Those
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care.
How about matching pajamas at Christmas time? Is everybody into that?
Yeah, we do that.
Okay.
We do that.
All right.
Yeah. Actually,
I opt out.
Of course you
Opt
do.
out. Again, it's not a contract.
Here's Christmas 2024. Dad's not here.
Dad takes the pictures. You fill in the blank. Was he wearing the pajamas or not?
She's wearing the pajamas. You're just wearing business clothes out of spite.
Yeah, I'm wearing a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
Let's see here. People are hitting us up on the super text line.
Are they upset or are they agreeing with me?
It's all over the board. Jay says, I gave my husband socks with my face on them.
Oh, that's
he loves
cute.
them. How do you do that? I would totally do that. How do you give your spouse socks with your face on?
There's all the ads.
Yeah. My kids last year, it was, one of those landmark birthdays last year for me. And my kids all got a tattoo with my face on there. And they all put tattoos on.
An actual tattoo?
Yeah.
They actually had your face on their
Yep,
body?
on their arms.
Like real tattoos or temporary tattoos?
She said
temporary.
real.
Temporary.
Oh, temporary.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
temporary. So you can
All right.
get your face on anything, a tattoo, socks, whatever. Yeah. It can happen.
You know what a buddy of mine did?
My wife just texted me. She said, "You sound like a jerk."
I'm glad
Means
she
that
said
in a
it.
loving way.
Virginia, you're accurate.
So, speaking of things that are personalized, a friend of mine, putting down my phone, a friend of mine had to pay alimony, and he had his second wife, suggested that they get checks with their name, with their picture on the
with their
check.
picture on it?
the check?
Yeah. Yeah, you can have
You can
checks
personalize
personalized.
checks.
So get the pictures, their pictures on the check, and use that for the ex-wife's alimony.
Is that bitter? I don't know if that's bitter, but that's
kind
of a cheap shot, no? Was she
Yeah.
single or was she married? The ex-wife.
I don't know the details.
Because that would be important. If she's married, that's fine. If she's still single, that's a little messed
You
up.
mire me in all these details, KGB. I have no idea.
We need info. Don't be the government. Don't hide the info.
I thought this was the most transparent show on WTN.
Yeah.
Oh, people, I'm way too transparent on this show. Trust me.
This is actually accurate.
Yeah, if people are like, can you maybe not tell us as much, please, if you could? Oh, by the way, all right, so real quick, on the McDonald's thing.
Yeah, tell me about McDonald's. You told me to Google it. I didn't.
The McDonald's.
I didn't mean to. I just did. We ran out of time. The music started.
Again, Virginia's accurate about sounding like a jerk.
So the McDonald's in Franklin, Tennessee has gone like uber viral. Like millions and millions and millions of people have watched this video. And it's the new McDonald's play place in Franklin. And I guess it has a couple of chairs for like a tablet playing. And I guess there's some sort of a pole where kids can, I guess, climb it and get exercise. But really, that's it. I mean, there's no slides. There's no ball pit. There's no
fun.
There's no tunnels.
Because don't all your kids want to sit in front of a screen for fun?
I hate the screen stuff.
I know.
I do too.
It's ridiculous. And in fact, that room is really big for that just two screens. So, why would they do that? Why would they waste that space on a couple of screens?
There was definitely a ball pit or like a play area there, and they just took it all down.
Yeah, they did.
I want to know what they have against the ball pit. And I know germs and all that kind of stuff, but that's how we build immunity.
Yep.
Pink Eye Central over there.
So I don't understand. I think it's emblematic of, again, problems with our kids today. This is how you end up with adults wearing pajamas outdoors.
Yes, honestly.
And then vice presidents wearing socks with, what were they again? Shamrocks on them.
Murphy texted me as well. So I just want to let you know, I've upset my wife and Murphy in one break.
You said it twice. We cannot say it a third time.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little pissed off at you, too. I told you to
whatever.
Google something and you didn't.
Whatever. He said, Irish people don't need to be shamrock shamed by you, Hand. That was Murphy.
That's good.
Shamrock
But
shame.
but back to the tablets. ridiculous. And little kids shouldn't be playing on them anyway. I mean, you're messing up their dopamine receptors. All of these apps are just targeted and engineered to hit those reward centers in the brain, and you're screwing up the kids.
How much did you learn? Did you ever, when you were a kid, do you remember playing in the McDonald's Playhouse?
Yeah.
All right. So
I grew up in a proper time.
In a proper time.
He grew up in America.
It was in the 90s. It was. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So now, if you, because I know you got really, really youngins, so do you allow them to play in the McDonald's Playhouse?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I mean, there were times when Riker was really young. I was like, please go play in the Playhouse.
Well, and when we go on road trips, it is like a staple. If we're going to stop somewhere, it's like a Chick-fil-A with a play area or something where they can get some energy out, or a playground. But you got to do it.
So you don't care about the germs?
No.
Yeah. Good.
No, that's how you build immunity.
Yeah.
All you got to do is make sure they wash their hands and, all that kind of stuff.
Nah.
Rub some dirt on it.
My kid's immunity will be better than your kid's immunity.
Listen, you don't need to rub any dirt on it if you're in the McDonald's Playhouse. You're already wallowing in it.
They provide that for free.
They do, actually. McDonald's
That's a great
Playhouse,
place to
dirt
share
included.
the things like chickenpox, so that you don't need to get a vaccination against something that's perfectly fine to get.
That's right.
Sure.
Tell him, Joan.
Honestly, all this vaccination stuff.
I'm with you.
Hey, do you want to get Joan talking in the morning? Ask her about vaccines.
Oh,
she'll talk for like, Joan, I got to go show prep.
It's one of my favorite things about Joan.
It's like I talked about the measles story in passing, and she's still going on as I'm walking down the hallway.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is absolute, and the coverage is insane.
It is.
Then you're gonna love one of the guests I have on today. 9:35. Dr. Susanna Underwood from Borough Holistic Health. She's gonna check in and break down the measles epidemic.
I love it. Thank you so much, Chris.
It's an outbreak.
Yes.
We're very scared.
There are 200 cases.
I've already started Lysoling all of my groceries.
Whole country.
You remember that? Remember people are doing that?
Yeah.
My mother
Cut
and
a loaf of bread.
My mother and
Lysol.
father-in-law were here they just left today. So before they left, they said there's a measles outbreak. Let's hug through a shower curtain.
Oh my God, that is so funny. That is funny.
They didn't mean it, did they?
No.
Okay, good.
Let's see here, real quick. Need some audio KGB if I could. But we were talking about earlier. We were talking about the meeting Trump had and J.D. Vance with the Sox with the Irish Prime Minister. And, Rosie O'Donnell has now decided to move to Ireland. And this is part of what she had to say.
Well, hey, everybody. It's me, Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones. I'm here in Ireland.
Congratulations.
And it's beautiful and warm. Moved here on January 15th when, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America. That's when we will consider coming back. Protect your sanity is all I can say.
So, in other words, we need to keep electing Republicans so she'll stay in Ireland.
Yeah.
She has the gall to say keep our sanity. She's lost hers long ago.
I like what Trump said. So a reporter asks about all this.
Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Listen.
Do you know you have Rosie O'Donnell? Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
You better off not knowing.
There you go. You're better off not knowing who Rosie O'Donnell is. All right.
My favorite part was under his breath, he said, "It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true." What do you think is more terrifying? Because I know you've seen the videos from Ireland where they drop off 300 migrants and set up a tent city. Would you rather have that moving into your neighborhood or Rosie O'Donnell moving into your neighborhood?
I'd take a chance with the migrants.
Yeah, bring it.
I would too.
I'll bring them flowers and food.
8:54 Nashville. All right, so what's coming up next?
Well, we're going to talk to Dr. Susanna Underwood at 9:35. We are also going to dive into the comments section of the Michelle Obama podcast.
Oh, my God. Do you have the Michelle Obama audio?
I have some of it, but nobody listened to the podcast. Spoiler alert. But the comments.
They hit the comments section.
We're here for the comments, and the comment section is still open in case you want to add your own.
Is it really?
It is.
All right. Joe Jones, what's coming up?
Well, the White House has just removed a nominee before he was about to face a Senate committee. We'll tell you what's happening there. Also, weather will be an issue this weekend. Hang around for the details of what we can expect. Those stories coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thanks, Joan. 8:54, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. You're going to save time and make the most money. Now, with that guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell, receive an all-cash offer, and close in as little as 21 days. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. They are the most experienced real estate team in the real estate industry, and you can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. It's a guaranteed cash offer. There's no obligation. Call them at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Get a guaranteed offer on your home today. Find them online. It is markspain.com. That's markspain.com, and start packing.